should just say thanks for like letting me do this.
I mean, I've done it.
Reroll an episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dear listener, we're re-recording this episode. We did it last week, and afterwards, I was kind of reflecting on how I handled the message and handled the content, and I wasn't super sure about it. And so Kyle's like, "Let's just redo it. Let's just do it over again." It's time consuming for both of us. One episode goes from being a 2-hour ordeal for us to 4 hours, and plus we miss a drop with our patrons and, just stuff like that. But I'd rather get something into the feed that I can stand by, at least to a degree.
Yeah.
Let's start from the top so we can recalibrate, and I'll do a better job this time of explaining what I'm trying to go for. So we're talking about Spellslinger decks still. Kyle and I are pretty into this like deep dive arcs that we've been doing. I think it just feels good to do it, like really just kind of explore an idea to the nth degree and then move on and move on to the next one and possibly just wear ourselves out with the concept. So we've done one about Voltron. We've done an arc. Kyle just finished us off with Enchantress, enchantments, and I'm trying to get us deeper into Spellslinger. So some of them are pretty easy to do, I think. Like Voltron was just like, we're talking about killing with our commander or doing commander damage. So it was a fun one to do and a good one for me to start with because it's very the message remains the same, I think. Like you're going to try to deal 21 damage to an opponent and survive a game.
There's a good uniting concept there to centralized thinking.
Yeah, and Enchantress got pretty wild, right? Like you had to take us back in time and talk about when does it matter to try to do these draw spells, and let's look at the type of removal that is available, and so you could already feel like it's getting wilder because it's not wrapped around one singular point of game winning, right? Like there's many ways to win a game with enchantments. And when you're talking about Voltron or commander damage, we're going for one direction.
There's one thing.
Yeah. So I feel like we're getting into this space now with Spellslinger where things are going to start to diffuse. I already talked about just kind of global highest hierarchy level ideas about Spellslinger for me, at least in the last 2 episodes. And just to quickly summarize, I've already walked us through just where I think you need to be seated when you're thinking about instants and sorceries is the mana value tends to matter more than ever. And that it seems like there is a line of play that rewards velocity over quality, I guess.
Sure.
A high caliber bullet that you shoot once versus many tiny little 9mm Uzi bullets. I don't know. Like it seems like there is a school or a college of low mana value where you are rewarded for casting spells often.
Yeah.
And then the more, I guess, obscure college, I think, the college for weirdos is the large mana value or high mana value college where you're trying to construct a deck that really wants to reward itself for high mana value plays.
Yeah.
We went through just the cards that seem to make sense in those two places, commanders that seem to speak better to those two things. So we're going to break away from that. I'm probably going to bounce between the two a little bit.
Sure.
I was just trying to set us up for just very loosely, this is what I thought is a good starting point for Spellslinger. The other thing that I want to start heading towards, so like moving a layer down, is something that I think is unique to playing with the Spellslinger deck, which is what footing to play on.
Yeah, that I'm interested to hear more from you on like what you mean with this, but I'm imagining like what you're getting at is that because you have instants available to you, there's a posture that you could take that might be different.
Yeah, I like that. Stance, posture, right? Are you in balanced stance, battle stance, defensive stance? Like that's a pretty good way to think about this, I believe, because of how instants and sorceries work in their interaction with the game. So to repeat some of the things I've said in earlier episodes, there's just something that you have to deal with when you're relying on a large number of instants and sorceries in your deck. You don't have permanence. You don't have ongoing effects from what you're doing. An enchantment, if we go back to the enchantress ideas that we talked about, they really are kind of like a rule changing thing a lot of the time. From now on, when I do this or whenever this happens, this thing will happen.
Yeah.
Creatures are starting to emulate this effect also, right? Like, in our like visit with on I Am the Bullcast, that came up, right? We talked about that a little bit because it was said on that podcast, they're starting to emulate enchantments. They are.
Yes.
Whenever this happens, whenever that happens, triggered abilities is kind of what we were looking at. Mm-hmm. A lot of the most potent commanders have triggered abilities. Miram can be seen as an enchantment. Mercifully, they're not, but like it's an enchantment style thing, right? And creatures already emulate sorceries. The enter the battlefield trigger is really just a sorcery, is how you could view it. It goes off once, and now from then on, the creature does the thing. And some of them have both.
Yeah.
They do the enchantment thing and they haven't entered the battlefield. So the creatures are wild, but the instants and sorceries are potent. There's some that are very well known, game warping, game ending even. Instants and sorceries exist, right? Some of them are on the game changers list. A lot of them are. But what they don't have is permanence. And because they don't have that, it's harder to compound on what they do. It's harder to mine and take the card a little bit further than its intended design.
Sure.
So with that in mind, you have to look at, okay, so then what can I do? What can I exploit or compound on or farm or mine or whatever your taste is? What can I do with instants and sorceries if they're not permanent? You get me?
I do. And I'm just kind of having this crystallizing thought where, like I've understood implicitly the power of an archaeomancer, particularly if you can create loops with it.
Yes. That's why it's strong to me.
But it's, even if it just happens a single time, it means that you got usage out of an instant or sorcery twice, right? Which that may seem so obvious, but for some reason it's just crystallizing in my mind. Like, oh, this is something other card types in this game naturally do. They're providing something to you more than once, whether it's a creature that had an ETB and then it's a body that you used, or an enchantment that has multiple triggers that happen over the course of the game with it. Mm-hmm. It's just, I don't know, you saying this, it's just starting to crystallize to me why that's such a big deal in Spellslinger.
Yeah, it's hard to come by, right?
Yeah.
Mercifully, so far, we don't have a blasphemous act on a creature. And if we did, it would get really annoying. And I would imagine it'd have something that says like, hey, if I die, I get exiled or something like that.
Sure.
Because if that creature existed, even if it was exactly the same language, it was 8 red and had that same cost reduction strapped to it or whatever, it would be, you could reanimate it, you could bring it back to your hand, you could flicker it, you could flicker it, you could flicker it. Like it would just be really hard. So instants and sorceries rightly don't have an easy way to compound like this, like a creature can.
Yes.
Archaeomancer is one of my favorite cards because it allows me to turn something like that was only supposed to happen once into 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. And there's a battery of instants and sorceries that specifically work really well with Archaeomancer, like Baral's Expertise, for example, or Dance fucking Macabre. Like you end up turning it into something that people just take for granted with their creatures. If you have a Titan effect on a creature,
true.
Look what I have to do to recreate some semblance of this with Dance Macabre, Yeah. So it kind of should help us snap things into focus of like what the problem is that we're trying to solve and really where can we go to leverage it better.
Yeah.
There is one other thing I want to say, right? Which is the advantage of instants and sorceries is kind of this, right? Like they're usually like one big game-changing rule right now, right? Everything takes 13 damage, or everybody sacrifices this, or I'm going to draw X spells or do X damage, and it just does the thing, right?
Yeah.
Like Torment of Hellfire has ended plenty of games. Exsanguinate is probably ending a game for somebody right now, and the table right next to it at the shop is ending one off of a Crackle with Power. Like it's not that they're weak cards, it's just that they don't have the compounding nature
Yeah.
And that's why often when you go to like EDH Rec, they are just kind of like stapley vegetable cards like Chaos Warp, Blasphemous Act, Brainstorm. They're just things to help you get along.
Yeah.
And then game ending things like that. You know, like how many games have we ended off of an insurrection? Like too many to count. So what I like to think about though is what is my commander asking me to do with these mana values? I think we've done that. But then there's this other thing I'd like to talk about, which is where to play in the game with them. So
yes,
if we pivot back to creatures really quickly, they do have a sort of a limitation in that you can exploit them moving forward, right? Like you can give them lifelink, you can reanimate them, you can enchant them, equip them, all the things that we know what to do with creatures. What's harder to do is choose when to cast them.
True. It's
not very often that you can just cast them when you feel like it. Most cases, I would say like close to over 90% of the time, the player must play it during their main phase. So they start their turn, they resolve their creature. It does everything that a good creature does.
Right.
It does everything a good modern magic card does, right? But what it should do also is that it really is a challenge for the play group to see how prepared they are for its existence. I resolve, I don't know, an Archon of Cruelty, and the board state is pretty low. Like you guys don't have a lot of sack fodder for my Archon of Cruelty. This is going to be a problem for people. Quick.
Absolutely.
Right? Get the ETB and then
the attack trigger.
And then start getting the attack trigger.
Yeah.
Right? So really it's not so much me exploiting the creature in that I'm just challenging your guys' ability to answer it.
Yes.
An instant speed removal spell or Ravenous Chupacabra or something. Like it needs to go. And you'll hear people say that, like, it needs to go. You know, why doesn't anyone run removal? It's like that's where these come from, is that these challenge people's preparedness is what creatures will do, what enchantments, artifacts will do. Instants and sorceries kind of don't. There's only really one solution to a lot of them, and it's a blue player.
It's another instant and sorcery.
It's another instant that it is an instant, or
it has to be an instant.
It has to be an instant to stop it. So that's an advantage we can kind of think about. And then the other thing is, and this is I think more subtle, is that they aren't persistent. The event's over. We did the thing, like I board wiped, I Wrath of God, I did the thing, like it's over, like it went past. Some do create levels of persistence, like Reckless Endeavor, for example, like, okay, I have a buttload of tokens now or something like that. Like those are just risks that you have to adopt with any card, but they kind of demonstrate to the play group. I have more mana than everybody. And when I untap with all of my treasures plus my whatever, get ready, But there's a subtlety, I think, there where I did the thing and it's over, and you just the play group or the play has to move on from there. Where an Archon of Cruelty, I'm just using that as an example. There's plenty of creatures that are that level of problem, depending on what the game state is, continues to be a problem, right? Every Eldrazi Titan, nearly, they continue to be an issue, and so the play group can rally around it. And if they can't figure out how to remove it, then they'll hopefully go after a life total or something, So, an instant or sorcery, while it has that weakness of I can't compound on it, I can't carry it forward as easily as I can a creature or an enchantment or an artifact, it does have this one-off nature. And then in the case of most instants, I can choose when I'm going to do this at the time of whenever it seems like it's the best moment.
Yes.
Right? Back when Cyclonic Rift it was a huge boogeyman in our meta, right? It was tutored for, you would go, I would muddle the mixture for it.
I was going to say, and it had specific tutors that worked
just for
really well for it.
It was really cracked, right?
Yeah.
What was strong was Andy passes his turn with 7 mana open and people would just like freeze. It happened so often that we were just like, he's just going to do it. And people would just stop play, and I'd go, okay. And then right before my turn, I'd do it anyway. So you're like, I'm just not going to put any more into this Psych Rift. I'm going to wait.
Yeah.
Right. And like, what is strong about that? It's because of that. It's that I can choose and watch you put your creature into the Cyclonic Rift.
Right.
I can watch you cast your artifacts and your enchantments, and you're putting more and more value into my 7 mana.
Or like you just described, even if we do know it, you could, and people just stop playing, you can shoot something else.
1,000,000%.
And
which we're going to try
just the threat of it.
Right.
Keeps people from developing their games.
Yes.
And so you're like, okay.
Which I'm going to push on hard. Like the next episode will just be that idea.
Okay.
So this is like the footing I'm talking about, right? Where I'm able to choose. I could do it on my main phase. Let's say I have a bunch of creatures and I draw it and I'm like, I have lethal on Kyle. I could shoot it and push all your stuff out of the way. We're talking about Cyclonic Rift.
Sure.
And just go in there and get you. Could do it.
Yeah.
But if I can't move on that turn, I probably should just wait. And wait for that and change my stance and put my weight on my back foot and wait for you to come at me and then do it where you've exhausted your mana, you've exhausted your turn because you have to play with creatures. That's what you've decided to do. It's your big, scary dragon deck right?
Yeah.
And that really, I'm just trying to make sure you don't get, like something that's like an ETB, like the Warstorm Surge Dragon, where I cannot wait for you to do that.
Oh, right.
Like those are the really powerful creatures, are the ones that kind of obviate this idea, right? They get around stuff like this. Like they have an enter the battlefield trigger, or they have an ongoing, basically an enchantment.
Yeah.
Like that guy is more expensive than the enchantment version because he's a little cheaper and he's a creature. So he can be flung around, enchanted, reanimated. Like this is why the price is there.
Itself lower life totals.
And it's a popular creature type. So, and me who's trying to play somewhere else in the game, I just cannot. I can't wait for you to hammer me to death.
Yeah.
With these triggers, all right, and you take 7. Fuck. The Psych Rift was supposed to keep my life total up. Now I'm not knowing when to go for it.
True.
So nothing's infallible, but I'm just trying to illustrate a point here. To put simply, if you're playing with Spellslinger, you do have a sort of a luxury, depending on how you construct your deck and depending on who you select as your commander, the luxury of either playing on the front foot, where I'm going to do a lot on my turn, I'm going to push things out of my hand that will have radical game-changing effects for a moment, and then they go away.
Yeah.
Right? You're playing on the front foot. I'm blasphemous acting. I'm dealing 4 to everything. I'm drawing 5 cards and dealing some damage. Like, think of instants and sorceries that just do stuff like this, right?
Yeah.
I'm making tokens and those tokens have prowess, like that kind of stuff, right? Or if you select the right commander and then really lean hard on the deck construction for this, you can play on the back foot where I begin my turn, I untap my lands, I draw my card, I pass my turn. That's called draw go is what people call it, right?
Yeah.
Where now you're playing extremely reactively. You're waiting for people to do their thing and then you answer it, or move ahead with some other alternative plan. Like Kyle kind of said, like there's a version of he's holding up 7 mana. One is a 5 mana draw card and the other is the Cyclonic Rift. And he didn't need to use the Cyclonic Rift. So right before his turn begins, he empties his mana into the draw spell. And now he's up by 4 more cards or something.
Right.
Like that's not cool. Like that's really not cool for your opponents, because the that threat of the
I didn't develop in front of this.
Yeah, the threat of that Psych Rift remains. They don't know it, right? And then I've introduced, let's say, 4 more other instants do a different thing back into my hand.
Yeah.
This is worrying, right?
Yeah.
If you bring green or white into this, those could be fogs. Like it gets gnarly quick, right? This is one of the things that I like about playing Spellslinger is that you can pivot in the middle of the game. You can say, this is where I'm going to be. And it works really well for this card type.
I'm really
instant sorceries.
I'm really glad that you're bringing a bigger conversation to this. I feel like in the arc of a Magic player's experience, the bulk of the game trains people to be front foot players, right? Because creatures have to be played on your turn. Enchantments have to be played on your turn. Artifacts have to be played on your turn for the most part. There's of course,
there's nothing you can say about this game that's universally true.
There are exceptions, of course.
What we fucking say. Yeah.
And entrenched players talk about things like playing on curve, right? So, and a lot of people brew their decks to have a curve in it where I've got my turn 2, 3, 4, 5 type plays. And so I would say the game and maybe the culture of this format train people to be front-footed, right? And
yes. To be on curve every time, untap with 4 mana, 4 mana spell, or 4 mana worth of spells.
Yeah, play the best spells you have available to you with the current mana you have available, right? Like that's how the game really kind of pushes you. And I love that you're bringing, like, let's have some concerted conversation about, you can do that as well here with instants and sorceries. But as you get into it, there's something that looks like to do that. But also there's this other option of being reactive that looks different. And the deck may be able to do both, or may be focused on doing one or the other. I'm really glad you're bringing that conversation, because I think, to me, this is an important part of a Magic player's growth, is recognizing, I mean, everybody, when you're sitting down at the table with newer players, there's oftentimes this moment where they've got their 3 mana and it's their turn, and they go ahead and they cast that generous gift, and the entrenched players are like, why are you doing that now?
Why are you doing that now?
Like, why don't you
and pass?
Why don't you wait? Just hold that 3 mana up. And if you're saying I'm doing it this cycle, that's fine. Just wait to see what other people do.
Yes.
And there's a maturation in a Magic player's career arc that I think this front foot, back foot thing is important to learn. And I'm excited for this conversation.
And knowing when to do it.
Yes.
Like it really is kind of like driving a car, like you're either with the gas or you're with the brake.
Yeah.
And if you're driving a cool car, your other leg is on the clutch, but like you're never on the brake and the gas at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to know when to do this with a deck like this. Like there could be a version of what you've described where, yes, I'm holding generous gift, and the specific threat that I'm keeping in mind is a creature or something like that has, it's not going to realize its problem yet. Or Kyle has a fuck ton of cards in a Gilded Lotus. I'm going to get the Gilded Lotus now before you untap it. Like those are different ideas. Breaks gas, when to do it. That's the maturation is there to do it. But most times it's,
like there could be an example where, like, say I'm playing General Marhault and I want to get in on somebody, but they've got a big creature, so, okay, let me go ahead and shoot that Beast Within now to
lower the size of the
basically
creature.
Replace somebody's Galta, their 12/12, with a 3/3.
Yeah, perfect.
Right? Like, that's a good, okay, let me be front-footed, play that Beast Within on my turn. But
your deck wants to be there. It wants to go into combat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But there's other instances where it's like, well, they're not presenting a problem to what you want to do this turn, so why don't you hold it up?
Just wait. Or max out your mana and push all your stuff out if you're just like, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a tricky thing. It's a tricky thing. So that's where I'm headed next, is trying to explain the differences between the two. I have deck examples for both, I guess, stances, right? Both colleges we've already talked about, but what style of poetry, whatever you want to say. And these are just my ideas. I don't know. Like I could be wrong. There's nothing to say you have to do one or the other. But what I'm looking for is giving examples of where I think it's extreme, where it is so obvious that the commander doesn't want you to wait, play on your turn, but you're using spells.
Yeah.
But do your thing on your turn, be the problem, or present them, or I guess press your will upon the game. Don't wait. But then we'll do another episode where it's like, I'm not so sure it makes sense to do that with this commander. And I see an outlet where you can actually fold back a little and play in a different space, because it's hard to do with creatures, enchantments, and stuff like that. Like you kind of have to go out of your way for it. So for example, Cameron is of the belief lately that he thinks he's out in front too quickly for everybody, and he's losing games because of it. He has said this to me. He's like, I can't win games because I see cool cards and I want to just put them in my deck, and they're just strong, and they synergize extremely well with my commander and my deck, and I just can't hold off. I can't get anywhere with you guys. And he's not wrong. He's struggling lately. He's an extremely powerful opponent. He's a very good player.
Yeah.
But what he's leaned into, I think, because he's a very good draft player, and draft are all about their bombs, right? Like they're just about draft bombs. But like this ain't draft. I'm ready for you. I've been waiting.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make a very tough organism that's like a fucking bacteria that really wants to just eat its way through a mid-rangey style game. And it has in mind that there's going to be a lot of life to eat through. So I have a lot of answers. Brad has a number of them. You do. Like, we're going to get through it, you know? It's not so often trying to challenge my preparedness it's not going to work. You know, like I'm a well-prepared
and especially
player.
Like he's articulating, if you're the person first to present those exigent problems.
It's like my favorite song in The Lion King, right? Everybody's favorite song. So like he tries to check our preparation and we have it and he collapses is what he's saying to me lately.
Yeah.
The decks that he wins with lately, they're not out enough. So like, what is it? His Javier Sol deck. Like that one's hard to clock. It's hard to know when to move on his permanents, these weird sagas, and he's making these tokens and counters, and it's almost hard to follow it. And he wins, I think, more consistently with that deck because it's in a weird space where I'm not really sure when to start draining his life total, working or whatever in the face of the other two playmats, right? I don't know what's going on with Kyle in these stages. I don't know what's going on with Zach or Edis in these stages. Like it's hard to know.
Sure.
But so that deck usually gets away. But when he comes down with his mono red anybody's my commander equipment deck, it's pretty fucking obvious what needs to happen, dude. Like
it's almost always hey like, everyone, gang up on Cam so the rest of us can play.
Right, survive his opening hand or die.
Yeah.
And some people love making decks like this. They're just they could do it compulsively. They just find the most powerful motherfucking head chopping card and they love it and they put it in their decks and that's what they do. And if they're good at doing it and they're good at against, you know, whatever and getting through it, it works out okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to work very well here. It's really hard to just empty your hand in front of us and not get unwound and then us keep up the pressure. Because now you've kind of shown us like this is the construction of your deck. We can just expect to see more of this.
Right.
We're gonna still come after you. I'm not gonna like, you know. So he's struggling to win games because he's Mr. Bombs lately. However, he's a smart player and he's like, I gotta change or at least diversify my roster. He wants to have games like that. I don't see him getting rid of Dragonhawk.
Yeah, fucking do it, dude.
But you know, he wants to be a well-rounded player because he thinks it makes him a more dangerous opponent. That if he knows how I play, because he's done it himself, he can probably take that with him back to his other mono red deck and hopefully do something with it. Maybe make some more smarter choices about things and be like, this is how these decks work because I know how to lose with these decks.
That's my Ragnarok lesson, man. Gotta diversitize your bonds.
Yeah, exactly. So me and him have been working together and it feels cool because like when I need him for stuff, I go, hey Cameron, I want to make this deck. Like, how do I do it? And he's got really good card ideas. He's very good about like squeezing value out of cards that I go, oh yeah, you're right. I probably really should just do that. He's like, it's an Anthem and a Mana Rock at the same time. Why wouldn't you do it? Yeah, you're right. Like, I just don't even think about it, you know? So he's asking me like, I want to make a more reactive deck. And the guy he picked was Morsk, right?
Okay.
Essentially it's like at your upkeep, you make a clue. You have no max hand size. And then I think, hang on, sorry.
Is it Morsk or Morska?
Is there two?
Undersea Sleuth?
Yeah, read them for me.
You have no max hand size. At the beginning of your upkeep, investigate. And whenever you draw your second card each turn, put 2+1/+1 counters on Morska Undersea Sleuth.
Yeah, so
it's in its band to cast.
So here's what Cameron is doing with this, right? He's watched a couple of experiences, yours and mine.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, Bumbleflower is really strong, but she's fucking annoying. So I want the Bumbleflower experience, which you can see some of it here, but not the Bumbleflower is what he's going for.
Yeah.
Then the other thing that he's looking at is the way my deck is set up, the one that he's modeling after, it's extremely limited on what it can do.
Sure.
It doesn't have a lot of reach, right? And I've tried my best to do it, but like my reactive style decks that I have right now, they're really hemmed in because they're monocolored, right?
Sure.
So he's trying to take the best of both worlds and make a deck out of it. This is a pretty anodyne commander. I don't know when I should be dealing with this guy, right?
True.
It just, all he does is make a clue.
Yeah.
That's it, right?
And one time per rotation.
And one
it's
time
not
per
like,
rotation.
It's not like he can keep pressing that button.
Right. It's pretty unoffensive. It gives him no max hand size. But if we do this deck,
I like this.
Yeah, if we do this deck right, this is going to be an annoying deck. An annoying deck. His whole plan is to have everything at instant speed. The whole fucking deck either needs to be on flash or on instant.
Bumbleflower, dude.
And it makes a lot of sense here because that clue is always available for us as an exit route.
Yes.
Right? Like,
yes.
If we use that example that we gave earlier, let's say Cam is playing this deck. He wouldn't have Cyclonic Rift. It's not allowed at our table. But if he had Cyclonic Rift, or I don't know, a Beast Within, Generous Gift, right?
Yeah.
We can name all the cards almost that we've talked about. And none of that needs to happen now. Let's say I'm like, all right, I'm moving to combat and I attack Kyle with my 13 damage worth of creatures. He's not going to Cycle Rift for Kyle.
Use it.
He'll just be like, okay, right? And that's that. The problem with doing this is that he wastes his turn. That's always the danger here.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a way to release pressure, we'll say. It's like he didn't do anything.
Sure.
He will always have a way, however minor, to release pressure with this dude.
Okay.
He'll have the clue. Okay, I didn't need to do anything. 2 mana card.
Yeah.
So it's like, fuck, you can see how, but the deck has to be built around this. If he has too many sorceries or things like this commander is not really going to help him too much.
Because when is he holding mana up if he's playing sorceries really hard?
So,
right?
so that's just kind of a preview of like playing on the back foot is like, here we are with this.
Yeah.
If you think about the opposite, right? Let's say he just said, I don't know, during your turn, you can pay 2 mana to draw an extra card.
Mm-hmm.
That wouldn't be a crazy ability. I mean, that's kind of like that weird Olortho guy or what his name was, where you gain life, you can just pay mana to draw cards instead, right? The problem is no one ever brought him out of the command zone. It wouldn't be crazy. I would look at that and I go, that's actually pretty okay. But what's different here is you have to use that mana during your turn, even if it was 1 mana, Kyle.
Yeah.
At the beginning of your upkeep, you can pay 1 mana, draw a card. That'd just be a solid commander. But I think it informs a different stance of play. I eventually I can catch up with that, let's say reserve cost or allostatic load or whatever you want to call it of paying 1 to draw my extra card every turn.
Yeah.
Eventually I could get enough mana to choose when I'm going to deploy my cards if they're at instant speed. Like let's say just we all had that luxury of choosing when we shot our cards.
Yeah.
It would be a little fussier, I think, than this guy because this dude's like, hey, I'm just going to give you a clue. You use it whenever you want, babe.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just got to do 2. You see?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then, of course, there's the compounding nature of that. It's a token and you can be used to do improvised stuff and all.
Yeah.
So we have an analog for a commander like this that forces, I think, this idea. It's not for card draw, it's for mana, but it's the new Ashling. Ashling Rekindled and Ashling Rhymebound specifically. So let's just try to walk through the same example with her and it'll fall apart really quick. A lot of words, folks, but let's look at it. One in a red for a 1/3 elemental sorcerer. Whenever this creature enters or transforms into Ashling Rekindled, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. At the beginning of your first main phase, you may pay blue. If you do, transform Ashling, and then they become Ashling Rhymebound. Whenever this creature transforms into Ashling Rhymebound, and at the beginning of your first main phase, add 2 mana of any one color and spend this mana only to cast spells with mana value 4 or greater. And then it has the same kind of logic to flip it backwards, which is the main phase in red.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's make the same deck almost, right? I mean, it's not going to be 1-to-1 because one's a banned deck and one's an Izzet deck.
Sure.
Say it, Kyle. Like she doesn't do anything at the end of Kyle's turn. The guy before me.
Exactly.
The mana is only available
it's here now.
Here now.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's I think the unifying thing for this episode is that right now I'm going to focus on things that'll happen on our turn because this commander and the commanders I'm kind of going to point to, they don't reward me for waiting.
Yeah.
They're like, hey man, this one's really screaming it, grabbing me by the ears and going, cast a big spell on your turn, fucker, is what this what this legend is saying to me. Where Morsk is not really saying anything. It's like,
it's true.
Here's a clue.
Which is really implicit,
and I guess
right?
draw a second card.
It's really implicit and it can happen kind of whenever, right? Like And I think that's the nice thing is I want to hold on that you're like pulling in these examples that are very directly pushing you. Do this, just do it. Do it now. Just do it. And, I think that's a really good setup for this nuance of, but there are things that you don't have to do now, but let's focus on the things that are telling you do it now.
Right. Because I'm more prepared for this one, I guess.
Okay.
I've got more examples of, So that'll be our focus is we'll compare them against each other. Is this hey, I really want you to do this now during your turn, Commander, or not? Mm-hmm. And then maybe bend it a little, like I can't help it. So let's just talk about this Ashling rekindled list. It wouldn't surprise you to hear that it's very focused on higher MV instants and sorceries. It's the right colors for it. And the commander's like, hey man,
telling you to.
You will eventually start double spelling spells you have no business shooting 2 of in the same turn.
Right.
Or you'll do them early and you have no business casting
doing them early.
Yeah. So one of the, I think, most important backbone concepts in this deck is setting up mana and moving forward. There's a lot of commanders that give you mana from the command zone like this. There's ones that are pornographic in their mana production. Something like Galadriel is one that's more infamous in our part of the woods lately. And then there's ones that are just really simple. They're either legit a mana dork, and that's all they are.
Sure.
Or something adjacent to it. So like we've had experience with Ruby. I have a Troyan list, and Troyan's a whole other thing, right? It's got to be 5 mana for that guy.
Yeah.
So we've got experience with these. The advantage of choosing these as your commander is you're able to play greedier cards firstly at a sooner cadence. You get them earlier, right? A sooner time frame. What should happen on turn 4 to 5 is happening on turn 2. So there's that. And we're used to this. That's why we load signets into our deck, partly to clean our mana, but also to accelerate to our commander, to accelerate to commander-sized outcomes. Some cards just don't translate well into our format, and they're fucking killing machines in other formats. Like, True. I don't know, the Delver of Secrets is an example. Like, it's a very good card. It has been since it came out of its first booster back in 2011, but it doesn't translate well to this style of game because it doesn't have the commanderness of a higher mana value outcome. So we get there sooner and have it happen around Delver of Secret timing by using things like Signets and, God forbid, Soul Ring and all the cards that are great.
True.
Right?
True.
The ones that they banned gave us this ability to turn our format into a standard speed format, right? Mana Vault or what is it? Mana Crypt. So if you have this in the command zone, I guess I could just stop trying to sell you on the idea. Like, right? If it's always available to you,
yeah.
If I'm simply just saying, oh, it's Ruby or it's Troyan or something, it's just that's all it is.
Yeah.
Can it blow the fuck up like some of these other guys can? No, I mean, there's guys that get you way more mana. Urza, for example, mono blue Urza, God Urza. Like, he's unreal. The amount of mana you'll eventually capitalize from him. Galazeth, his cousin, for instance, in sorceries. Like, but if you're just saying, I just simply want a mana rock in the zone, that's the advantage. And what's fun about it, at least for me, is it presents a weird problem for your opponents.
Yeah.
They start with removal in their hand in our meta. They probably will. One of them will.
Somebody at the table has it.
What do? Do they kill the mana rock, or do they kill the thing the mana rock is going to push out? Or do they kill the thing this other person has it's just fucking strong? You know, like
Cam's at the table. He fucking put that pushed card out, dude.
Exactly. So like I play something like this and Cam's like, all right, well, anyway, a bunch of dragons, Dragonhawk. Like Kyle's the choice is kind of made for Kyle.
Right.
Right. Not always, but a lot of the time. Or Tiff's playing Lathril or Elenda. It's like, okay, well, the minute I see her, I need to rezone her. We know this. So it's an interesting problem for your opponent. Kyle could time walk me and shove it back to my zone, you know? So I want to say that I'm ready for this as an opponent. There's a lot of 4 mana Soul Rings in this deck. So it'll not look really like a Spellslinger deck to somebody who's looking at it right away if they look at that. So Cisei's Ring, Hedron Archive, motherfucking Thran Dynamo, those are all there, right? These are my versions of Cultivate.
And I'll say in our group, we've seen these kind of have success. There was a game I had where I think you were kind of noticing like, oh, Kyle like had this jump up with his rocks.
Yeah.
And if I recall, it was a game where I didn't really use my commander all that much, but it's just the mana mattered.
Yeah.
And
mana matters.
It just translates super well.
Mana matters. Mana rocks are a fun topic. There's a lot of discourse about them that come and go, right?
There is.
There's the 2 mana stuff that are just, everyone has their different opinions on them. Lately, I think I'm really into 4 mana rocks. As long as they tap for more than 1 mana, or they've got a really, really strong utility to them, like the one that can clone things. Like that one's pretty good because it can kind of hang out back. But
again, that's context here.
It's very contexty. But anyway, what I'm getting at with this is if I keep this creature on board, I wake up with 2 mana, I throw that rock out at the speed of a soul ring, and it's pretty good. And then if I lose either one of them, I would prefer to make you guys have to decide on what you're going to remove of mine.
Yeah.
And my check is I like to bifurcate it, not like, okay, well, I'm going to just do a big creature and the solution for you is board wipe because it takes out my commander and the big creature I pushed out. I would prefer that it's existing in multiple lanes,
I like that.
That's why catch-all removal is so popular in our meta, because of that stuff like that.
It's true.
A generous gift will do either. But from there on out, the deck is really set up to just take advantage of instants and sorceries that normally are not easy to work around. 5 mana, 4 mana instants and sorceries that are great.
Yeah.
It's just that these other decks in the low mana value school are better off casting 3 or 4 copies of their own, functional reprints of their own effect than just one of these.
Yes.
You see?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, like in a low mana value school deck, I would be more interested in casting Ponder, Preordain, Brainstorm, just to list them off the top of my head in that course of that turn, than, like just looking at this deck, 1 Memories Returning, for example.
Yeah.
Like I get more out of what's on my board. Like, I have a guy that makes the little elemental every time I cast an instant or sorcery. We already talked about like the payoffs against the mana value, where here I'm not really mining an effect like that. I'd rather just get the quality than the quantity.
Yeah, that's fair.
So you start seeing things like this, right? Like Deep Analysis is in this deck because it's 4 mana, and Ashling will basically say, hey, use 2 of your lands and my free floating mana to cast this thing, and you can flash it back if you want, and I can still give you mana to do that, right? Drawn from Dreams is there, right? It's like, hey, look at the top 7 cards and get 2 of the best 2 of the best next 7 for 4 mana, but you're only tapping 2 of your lands to do that. So quickly, it's not very long before I'm doing 2 of these a turn because Ashling is part of this equation and my mana rock that I've developed too. It'll happen sooner. So I'm double spelling. I'm pulling off the Joda. The Joda problem was, I'll take any spell in the game and make it just 1 of each color. But when do you get to do 2 of those in a row is really when the game starts taking over. Yeah. So I'm kind of going for obviously not something as crazy as that, because you were taking like 9, 8 mana game changer spells, game warping spells with this dude, but we're taking them from 4 mana and bringing them down to somewhere to 2 to 3. So when we finally have 6 mana, we're doing like 2.
You can get 2 of these.
2 of these, a 5 and a 2, or a 5 and a 4. Like that kind of idea. That's the focus here, right? Memory Deluge. It's look at the top X cards of your library, where X was the amount of mana spent to cast this spell. Put 2 of them into your hand, and the rest in the bottom of your library in a random order, and it has a flashback of 7. So there's a version of this where you cast this both in one turn, right? I tap 2 lands and my Ashling mana to do the first round, and then we're so deep into the game, and I have so much land out of these goofy mana rocks that I keep putting out, where I do the other half, and I'm getting 4 very preferential cards out of a pretty deep dig.
I like that.
Oh, it's an instant. I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
Pirate's Pillage, Ashling's Command. Right? It's 5 mana, but you can create a token that's a copy of an elemental you control. I don't see that mode being super relevant here.
Sure.
Target player draws 2 cards. Ashling Commands deals 2 damage to each creature target player controls. It's a token wipe. Very relevant for us.
That's awesome.
Or target player creates 2 treasure tokens. So it's 5 mana, draw 2 cards, and create 2 treasures. It's like all of the best things of a big score without having to discard, essentially.
And that's like with Ashling, I mean, there's sort of like a net neutral with an Ashling's command, right?
What do you mean?
If you take the treasures, right? So you've got Ashling's 2. You cast this for 3. I guess I guess it's not quite net neutral, right? But
doable next to some other big spell.
Yeah, like you can weave that in with some other big stuff.
Like, you can do something that you normally wouldn't be able to do, which is weave the quality with the velocity a little bit.
Exactly.
Provided you have Ashley. Provided you have some kind of mana. Eventually, she's been zoned a number of times when I've been playing this deck, and by then it's like, okay, I just got to work without her. And I love that. I love just being like, okay, well, they did the thing.
It's great when the deck is good enough to do that.
Yeah. Tella the Great Sage, 5 mana. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you create a colorless hero token. If 4 mana was spent to cast this spell, draw 2 cards. That's great. I'm not looking to draw a card as much, that would be great to draw a card, but like I'm trying to match the mana for mana, right? Like draw 2, and then if 8 or more mana was spent to cast the spell, sacrifice Tella, and it deals that much damage to each opponent.
That's awesome.
So it's a Spellslinger list. It's more proactive because the commander is saying, dude, do this on your motherfucking turn. And then I'm trying to compound, right? Find places to compound this further. Arcane Bombardment's in this deck. Double Vision's in this deck. Summon GF Cerberus is in this deck. These are all really good things to have stick around for spells like this. Like, so with like the GF Cerberus, and I don't know, let's say my card is Hypothesizzle, right? I get the GF Cerberus. It's 4 mana for a 3/3 Saga Dog. It enters the battlefield. You surveil 1. Great. I start my turn. I get my Ashling mana. I cast Hypothesizzle. GF Cerberus is saying, well, hey, whatever you cast this turn is twinned, right? The Hypothesizzle's like, all right, hey, so draw 2 cards. Then you may discard a non-land card. And if you do, Hypothesizzle does 4 damage to target creature.
Damn.
Well, this goes off twice. So I get
4
cards.
Discard.
8 damage across 2 different creatures. Push out a 7/7 that needs to go away or something. Like the expansion is pretty wild. And then of those 2 cards, let's say, I don't know, one of them that I drew was Unexpected Windfall. I go into the last GF Cerberus range, which is, hey, triple this. And dear God, I'm discarding a card, drawing 6 cards and making 6 new treasures. It's just that you can kind of see it jump out a little bit with the mana if everything sticks around. This is not a reactive deck at all. It's just not set up for this. Like, it pushes the game forward in a way where I'm like, I gotta have some kind of removal. I'm not able to do stuff without it. Sorry guys, I'm just not that type of player.
Yeah, and some of these, a lot of these are instants, but they're still begging to just be played because of the way this deck is set up.
The commander wants you to. You're right. They are instants just because they are. Hypothesizal's an instant. Ashling Command's an instant. You could be later game and wait if you're just like, dude, I am so wrong-footed right now. I just can't be doing this stuff during my turn. I need to wait to see what needs to happen.
But the natural stance for this deck.
But the natural stance where this wants to be is sword forward, moving forward.
Yeah. I like that.
Arcane Bombardment is pretty wild. 6 mana. Whenever you cast your first instant or sorcery spell each turn, exile an instant or sorcery card from your graveyard at random. Then copy each card exiled with Arcane Bombardment. You may cast any number of copies without paying the mana costs. These just get cracky. Dude, this starts adding up really quick, even if there's just 2 spells. Just one of these, I think, is like, dude, he's getting another crack at his Pirate's Pillage. He's getting another crack at his Drawn from Dreams every time he does anything with these other spells. Like this is pretty wild because of the quality with the spells.
This is like a good, because I've tinkered at times with using Hive Mind. And this just feels like a better way to go is that Arcane Bombardment where it's
just you.
It's just you. Yeah. You're not introducing this weird wonky kind of chaos card, but you still have this accumulating value that you can harvest out of that card. I like that.
Speaking to the higher mana value range of this thing, Volcanic Visions is here. We talked about that in the last episode. Call Forth the Tempest is here. This is a great space for a card like this. Ill-Timed Explosion's here, where they care about the mana value of the spell in question to do their thing.
Right.
Aether Gale is here, as is Baral's Expertise. And and so is Archaeomancer and her red cousin. They're here because these are the type of spells you want to recapture with Archaeomancer. I'm not super interested in getting a Ponder back with my Archaeomancer, dude. I should just shoot Consider or Opt, or its many cousins that really are functionally the same card with extra steps or less steps. And here, it's like, I really want to get back that Aether Gale a few times.
And it's valuable enough that even if you just get it back once, right? Like a lot of these spells, even if Archaeomancer just comes down once and you don't have some loop you've created, just getting some of these spells a second time.
Yeah. They're not instants or sorceries, but they are kind of screaming like, hey, do this on your turn, get this thing back to your hand. It's kind of hard to know when to do those because you demonstrate to your opponents that you're recurring something they don't want to see again, but I love them. And they directly synergize with Baral's expertise, Aether Gale, Mystic Confluence.
Yeah.
You could do the Cryptic Command is another one that they like a lot. The Archaeomancers, Dancers, I love them when you can push them forward. There's one that's a land, right? The Pinnacle Monk. That was crazy. It's 5 mana, but hey, it's a land when you need it to be.
No, that one's awesome.
Yeah.
But also each one of these qualifies, right? Like, so it fits in really well with Ashling. And what you're talking about of like, I can get 2 spells. I can get the Archaeomancer and then follow up, like the way the deck is set up.
Rite of the Dragon Caller and Shark Typhoon, these I think align nicely with what we're doing. You get a 5/5 and your 4 mana spell.
Yeah.
Getting a 1/1 elemental from your young Pyromancer, it doesn't care. It's not, if you're playing more reactively and on the back foot, that 1/1 blocker might make the difference of you in a game or out of it, right? But with this, we're really trying to be forward moving, forward thinking, right? Like I would prefer to get a 5/5, and the commander just sort of helps you get this thing down early before you even start draining these spells. Like there's a version of this where you're like, I'm just going to keep setting this stuff up and challenge people's removal because this thing's down on turn 3 or something crazy. You know what I mean? Or turn whatever. Yeah. Like, another thing to compound on, and this is just something that I found worked really well with this deck just because of its nature with the mana rocks and the type of things that matter are usually an enchantment or some crazy creature, is the ability to copy any permanent. Ooh. It seems like that falls into the 4 mana range. The company is like, hey, we want that to be a little bit more expensive than copy, right? Like it's copies fucking anything. So the 4 I've got selected here are Flash Photography, Realm Sketching, Replication Technique, and Will of the Temur, right? If you're able to copy your mana rock, that's incredible. Like you now have 2 of them. Ashling is now, you're up to that double spell range very quickly.
Yes.
And as long as, if you've noticed, a lot of these spells lets you draw cards. So you can do one that draws you cards and then one that pushes the game forward or both.
Ooh.
If you have Archaeomancer type things in the loop, you can start getting them back a little bit. It's a little weird here, but if you have a twin and an Archaeomancer, you can copy the Archaeomancer and the other permanent. So let's say it's like Shark. Let's say I have, let's say I have Spinerock Tyrant. Like this is an extreme example, but I'll do it anyway. I don't like doing this. Spinerock Tyrant is 5 mana for a 6/6 with flying. It's a dragon. It's already way out of range. It has Wither for some reason. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell with a single target, you may copy it. If you do, those spells gain Wither. You may choose new targets for the copy. So I have Archaeomancer down, I have the Spinerock Tyrant down, and I have Flash Photography in my hand. You can already see where this is going to go.
Yeah.
I target Archaeomancer, the Spinerock. It's like, oh, hey, something's being targeted. Make a twin. I twin the Spinerock Tyrant. The new Archaeomancer enters the battlefield and puts the Flash Photography right back in my hand.
Yeah.
And it's just going to get worse and worse and worse from there.
I love plays like this where it's just like, if you guys don't stop me,
yeah,
there's just going to be more.
Right. Snapcaster Mage won't let you do this. It shoves it out of the game. Snapcaster's for a different style of deck. You could justify a Snapcaster here where you're like, fuck, I really just need to get this spell off one more time. I don't know if I really want to carry it forward. I think these are the types of
spells that you could
do it, right? It's only 2 mana, but whatever. But I'm looking to, you know how I am. Like I want to do engines. Like if I can find them, I'm going to try to put them in my deck.
Yeah.
So these spells, these copy spells, are pretty fucking wild. Replication Technique gives your opponent a copy of a permanent. Just be smart about who you choose, I guess.
You don't have to demonstrate, right?
No, you do.
Oh, you do? Okay.
I do. I gotta have the double, dude. It's so good.
I'm just saying, like, if you just need it, that's great. But
it's so much. It's so much for 5 mana. But Kyle's right. If there really is not a target, like if everybody has a permanent you really would not want to see a double of, then don't. Then just do the single. Will of the Temur is like 2-in-1. You draw cards equal to the largest mana value permanent, and you clone a permanent. It's wild. So minimally, if it's just the mana rock we're twinning, it's draw 4. It's make another whatever, right? Another Thran Dynamo.
Yeah.
Oh God, and then draw 4 cards for 5 mana. Oh God. And this is basically a Jessica's Will, sort of. Like if you squint, you're seeing a Jessica's Will.
Yeah, kind of, right?
Right, a little bit. And you're in bracket 2. It's a lot more mana. All right, guys. Like there's some more setup. It ain't just fucking straight up Jessica's Will, but yeah.
But you can create scenarios where you're getting something.
All sorceries except for Flash Photography that has this weird flash component if you target your own stuff. But it's a crazy card. It's also $50. Sorry, guys. It's something out of like a weird stocking stuffer box set thing that they did. But think about it. Copy permanent. There's plenty of copy target creature. I wanted it wide.
Also, it's kind of lame. Why has it got to be a selfie?
I know, right? It really is. With like an old style camera too. It's not even like you're right.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? Do you think this fits the proactive on your front foot play? The commander's like, dude, I'm going to give you the mana of this turn.
Yeah. So
and nowhere else.
If we can kind of come back to the original setup a little bit, where you're talking about like, hey, we're trying to make a distinction between proactive, reactive. And while you have cards in this deck list that I think could very much be in a reactive deck, and maybe there's circumstances where this deck has to pivot to being reactive for a minute.
Yeah.
Like you said, the commander is asking you to do it. And just like the nature of some of the best plays that you might have are kind of asking you to be front-footed, right? Like, I mean, these recursion type spells, okay, they're creatures. They got to be played on my turn. And then what's in my hand. So if I can shoot it now, I may as well just fucking do it because you've got information. You don't have the benefit of being the reactive player where like, you don't know what I have in my hand.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you may as well just fucking go. And I think this is a really good example of this, especially because the commander's pushing us on our turn.
Yeah. Right? I haven't said anything about aggro or control. So somebody could hear what I'm saying and read it that way. And I think it's a little bit more nuanced than that.
Yes.
This is kind of a control deck in a way because it has a large number of deal damage to all of your opponent's creatures style stuff, like clearing them off.
Sure.
And that's just, I said it earlier in another episode, is like, I'm not sure how to play big instants and sorceries and keep yourself in a game considering what other people could resolve when it comes to creatures and enchantments and stuff like, namely creatures in modern Magic.
Which
the commanders, the fucking Mirams, the all of them, man. It's nuts. So I'm not saying that one. Yeah, I would say that most often, if you're playing reactively, it is looking a lot like a control list, I suppose. But I'm going to provision that in the next episode of how to make it not always look like that. But this looks like a control deck because I'm looking to clear out blockers so I can swing with these larger tokens.
Yeah.
I have the erratic Cyclops. It gets the plus, it's a cool card, right? Like it picks up the mana value. There's a new Rutha they spoiled where she makes a flying elemental equal to the mana value of the spell you cast, like that type of stuff. Like I want these to click in. I view removal as evasion when I'm thinking about attacking. Like if there ain't anything there to block, it's evasive, right? So that's just me. Somebody could take this deck and go the opposite direction. Like they could be like, hey, what are the craziest ways to make token creatures in these mana values? And they're just going to make them. Somebody could take this and be like, what happens if I just have a consistent source of haste on turn 2 to 4 somewhere in there? And there's actually weirdly a lot. Like she can make a variety of decks that's not specifically Spellslinger. just because she's a mana dork in the zone.
Like that's something that, because I think there's this other thing that's kind of occurring to me as I'm looking at the list a little more closely as well. Because if there's situations like that where you can generate haste with your tokens, there's another incentive to play on your turn proactively, right? Yeah. And I think there's other cards in this deck list that are indicating that. Like I would say Mana Geyser, being a sorcery, is sending a really strong signal to be front-footed.
Yeah.
It's got to happen on your turn. You're going to get a big batch of mana.
Do it now.
Do it now.
Yeah. Move now. Yeah. She's a great commander. There's a version of her where it's like Ashling, the Fire Crystal, Inferno Titan early, and Inferno Titan's haste, and you get both Inferno ETB and attack triggers on Inferno Titan.
Yeah.
Like there's totally a version of her that's this. She's nuts. There's a version of her where it's like, I just make tokens because the mana to token ratio starts to look a little weird past 2. It's a lot of like 2/1/1s for 2, and then you have this weird gap, and then you start picking up like, oh, I get two flyers for 4. It starts looking a little different.
Yeah.
I guess what I'm just, we're in the Spellslinger arc. That's my focus.
Sure.
But she to me is a proactive commander. It does not reward you to play anywhere else but your main phase. It's like screaming it in the text box.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's look at another legend. Let's stay with Izzet just for a second so I can relate this directly.
Okay.
And do something similar but with a lower mana value idea to it. This is Jori N. It's a deck I played a few years ago, pre-Ragnarok. I've modified it to bracket 2 style that we do now, right? We don't play bracket 2. We play bracket L. Like our version of it. It's a similar idea, I think. One could read it and say, well, there's nothing here saying I can't do something right before my turn begins. But
sure.
I just think that the way I've constructed this list, it just kind of screams like, do this stuff on your turn. 1, a blue and a red for a 2/3 Merfolk Wizard. Whenever you cast your second spell, draw a card. So there's a version of this where, yeah, you could load the deck full of instants and stay off your turn, and then at some point unload your 1 to 2 mana instants and draw your card and then draw go.
Yeah.
The thing that I'm kind of noticing though is that like if you want to take the game further and go anywhere with it, with her and trying to really mine that effect, you're kind of stuck with low impact spells, right? Like they draw you a card or add mana back to your mana pool, and then that's that, right? It's kind of the low mana value college syllabus. It's like on the syllabus that you will do this as many times as you can. So it doesn't really make sense to me if you look at what you can capitalize on to try to make this a more reactive style deck. So to my view, it seems to work better when you're on your turn and you push your mana out and you get to your second spell, but then stop because she stops giving you
there's
a payout.
Nothing else.
There's nothing else. She doesn't say, hey, when you cast your 4 mana spell, I'll take my top off. And when you cast your 5th spell, I'm going to, whatever, like grab the keys at the key party. Like none of that's happening, right? Like you're not getting paid for any extra effort with Jori.
Yeah.
She simply wants you to just do the second spell.
It's that coworker that's like, they've been assigned their task. They do their task and go home. They're not looking for anything extra to do.
Yeah. Fuck, I got a gross story. I guess I can tell it now, right? Like we're not handcuffed.
The seal has been broken.
You remember Danny, right?
Yeah.
He was working at this is like right when we were out of high school somewhere, like, so this is like circa 2020, like 2005, 06 somewhere.
Yeah.
And he was up here visiting because his mom worked. So he was a kid I went to school with. I met him in elementary school. We became friends in 5th grade. Him and Brad are extremely similar personalities. Like I honestly think a lot of what Brad is just Danny, actually. He's one of the smartest people I know. He's actually a mechanical engineer now. He works for some like robotics company. He has like a master's degree in mechanical engineering. He's one of those just like doesn't give a fuck about anything carrot personalities.
Yeah.
I've described him as like Ferris Bueller. Like he would slough like crazy all the way through high school. And then he would just show up and
yeah, he had the
pass
brain.
the classes.
He had the brain to just show up and be like, I know this stuff. That's why I didn't show up.
It's who he is. He's a remarkable person.
Yeah.
Let's just say.
Yeah.
But he came up and visited from Cal. His parents, like his dad became like a doctor or something like that. And they, uprooted and left Utah and they moved to Temecula, California, which Danny hated it down there, like hates it. And he would come up here often to like hang out with us because his mom worked for like baggage claims somewhere, and she had like all of these like extra
these perks for flying.
These perks essentially, and he would just use them and fly standby, and he'd come up for the weekend and then go back home. Like he's just that guy, dude.
Yeah.
He'd come up here with like no sleep and then play 12 hours of Halo 3 with us and then fuck off and fly back home and then go take his classes
take his fucking test
at whatever community college is down there. I can't remember what it was, and get through it. He's a crazy dude. But he comes up one day and he's like, dude, do you ever like met a girl who's just like really into like getting you to nut? And I'm like, no, but tell me more. I want one of those. And he basically described this girl that he worked with. He was working at a Wendy's like while he's in school.
Oh, fuck.
That she was really not into Danny. In fact, she just like wasn't nice to him and like just found him to be like arrogant and whatever. But her whole thing was just getting him to bust a nut, dude.
What?
That was her whole focus.
What a contradiction.
And the minute he did, she was like done with him. He's like, dude, it was like she was getting high and then would do the thing and then she'd just like up and leave. And if you think about Danny, it seems like the right situation for him. Like he would love this. Like
true.
No commitment.
True.
It's basically just like the result you want and that's it, right?
But by the same token,
but it was
he's the kind of guy that you imagine he wants to be the one to create that circumstance.
Right. So she'd like bug him about it and stuff. So like the way he's telling this story, dude, it was fucking insane. Like he's telling this story like, okay, it starts off like he's super into it and he's basically got an epic drop essentially, right? Like he had a rare drop. And now it's like it's converted into this nightmare scenario where he doesn't even want to be around this chick, but his biology just demands that he would be around her. Like every dude's been in this situation in a different way where he can't resist because of how she is or whatever. But he would describe like how they would get to it. And then as soon as like he's there, she's like, okay, I'm done with you. Like get like a vampire, dude, like some fucking weird nut vampire, some almond milk vampire, dude. It was so wild, this situation.
She cast her second spell and she was out of there.
Exactly. She's like, get your second spell out. Get it out, boy. And then, okay, get out of my room.
I have nothing else to do with you. He would
tell me the craziest stories, dude, about like the stuff he'd get up to. Cause he was like really big into that concert scene down there. Eventually he ends up working at like some casino. He worked at like, it was on a reservation. Yeah. And he would get into just like weird concert stuff there because they would always have like events or whatever. And like Interpol was the band that for whatever reason he saw it like 17 times. Like for whatever reason, maybe they live in that area.
Funny,
I don't know.
I didn't think of Interpol as like a casino
like, yeah,
band.
They're good. But he like got bored of seeing Interpol, but they were always like there or something. He said that there was this, he told me a story where he almost had a threesome with these two girls and this guy just like ruined it.
Oh,
so he's in this room with these two chicks and they're like friends or whatever. And it starts heading in that direction, guy. Like it's going to fucking happen, Kai. Like he's describing it. And I've heard guys talk about it before and I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know if that was headed in that direction.
You're like, maybe.
Or they were just fucking with you. Like that's happened to me a couple times where it's like, clearly these chicks are just trying to mess with me to make me look like a freak, which I am. What do you want me to do?
Warm-blooded.
Yeah. I want to see what your Barnes and Noble purchases were in the last couple months, girl. I'll tell you who the freak is.
True.
That's happened to me more times than I can count where I thought we were headed there and they were just fucking with me, seriously. But dude, he's telling me the story, so I'm super like I'm just skeptical. I'm like, is this really going to be one of these things?
Did you?
I don't know, Kyle. He was headed there. Like the way it was working out, I'm like, dude, it's going to happen. And my heartbeat's like increasing as he's telling the story. He was a good storyteller. So I'm sitting there, and we're like all in the bed, and it's like at one of these parties, and they're getting with each other, and he's getting with them, and then this guy walks in and just sits down next to their like bed that they're getting their freak on with, and goes, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
And like Danny, dude, like the look on his face, he said like he's behind the two chicks, right? It's like a weird spooning, forking scenario. And I just picture it like this. His head crests the girl's shoulder and goes, dude, get the fuck out of here, dude. And then the guy just goes, what are you guys doing? He just repeats it.
Just repeats it.
What do you think we're doing? Dude, get the fuck out of here, dude. Hey, what do you guys do? Like, he's trying to like ruin this thing. And now my blood pressure's going up. Like, my heart rate was excited for my friend, and now I'm fucking furious listening to this story. That this rando guy comes in here, and if that's all it took. The girls were like not into it. They get up and leave. That's all it took. A couple, what are you guys doing?
Dude, this guy's like an OG troll, right?
Right? I'm like, what did you say to the guy? He's like, dude, I just got up, cleaned myself off in the bathroom, and fucking drove home. He's like, I've never been so pissed in my life. The whole thing just like melted down like nothing for him. What are you guys doing?
I just love that scene you painted of like, this dude can't see Danny and his head pops up.
Get the fuck out of here, dude.
Out of here.
Yeah. Like, what's Danny supposed to say? I'm about to engage in a threesome with these two girls. Would you mind?
I'm not sharing.
Would you mind? Do you think that's what the guy was after? Hey, man, one's enough for anybody. Get the fuck out of here, dude. I'd be out of that room so fast. I'd be, yo, and I'd leave.
Yeah, be a brother, man.
Be a brother. Anyway, Jorian, all she wants is the top off, right? Like, you draw your second card, or you cast your second spell, you draw a card.
She's like, you good?
Get out. That's it. You're not going to get anything for third. Stella Lee, on the other hand.
Anytime I see Jorian now, I'm going to be like, you good?
You good? Do you want like a Pop-Tart or something? Yeah.
Get out.
Get out. Stella Lee wild card is similar. I think it's a power creep to this commander in a lot of ways. 1 a blue and a red for a 2/4 human rogue. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, exile the top card of your library. Until the end of your next turn, you may play that card. So it's functionally drawn, essentially.
Damn.
If the deck is mindful of its mana curve, you'll be all right, right? But then, yes, you have this tap, copy target instant or sorcery spell you control. You may choose new targets for the copy. Activate only if you cast 3 or more spells this turn. I like this design enough. This is a very low mana value way to copy spells, folks. Like, this is really I don't know where you can get it much cheaper than this. Other
and
than
can
like
I just say that like Stella Lee to me has this implicit ask to play on the front foot, because it's you can play that card. So if it's a land, you want to be on your turn so you can play the land, right? Like,
true. Yeah. You get it till your next turn, but maybe also to support what you're saying, think about the kind of,
you're right.
Think about the kind of instance that are available to us where the third one is the one that we want to twin and we're off turn. It'd be kind of hard to set that.
True. That is a
like
difficult thing
line
to
those
set
stars up. Kind of hard to line those girls up at that party, you know?
She just seems to, implicitly want you to be on your turn.
Yeah. But her and Jorian, you could swap them around, I think, in this scenario if you wanted to. I find that Jorian has a little bit more charity attached to them.
True.
As an opponent, Kyle is just not really going to gain a lot by putting her in the moon or rezoning it. Like, it's just like, dude, there's other problems. Like,
yes.
Behind Kyle's shoulder, I can see Tiff's decks. I can see Ureni, the whatever psycho dragon, Tyvar Bellicose, which is basically just the Lathril deck. There's just other things that Kyle must deal with other than this.
Yeah.
It's strong, but it has that limitation. It stops after 1. Kyle.
Yeah, and if Jorian's around, I can keep making the joke. Like,
and yeah.
Are you done?
Right. Are you done? Do you want like a Pop-Tart or what? So the deck is really set up to do this on turn every turn. For fucking sure. You might find a situation where you have multiple instants and you can get 1 extra card off your turn if that happens. But every time that's how this deck is configured. It should be happening on your turn. You should be resolving 2 spells, which are like, since we're in the series, instants or sorceries to do this, right? Anticipate, your preordain, your ponder, your even think twice. You could it's 2 cards in 1.
Yeah.
Right. At one point I had what's the one with the chick that's going fucking crazy in the cell? That also had a flashback, but you draw 2 and discard 1 at random, dude. Like, but the flashback's only 2. Crazy crazy card. I think it's Desperate Ravings. I think is what it's called.
Oh, yes.
At one point, I had that bad boy in here. I might put it back.
That was
in.
like an early card for you. You were right.
Oh yeah, back when Burning Vengeance.
Yeah, I was like,
baby.
that was an early play for you.
I fucking loved that one. The thrill was up there.
Yeah.
Archmage Emeritus is here, right? Dude, this is like such a blind spot for me. Is it Emeritus? Emeritus? Emeritus. Okay. Archmage Emeritus. Me and Tiff were talking about this like a couple nights ago where there's just some words that like I just have a tough time with them. Like her, I think it's is it impossibility? Is that the word that she like has a trouble with for whatever reason? There's just something in our heads where it's this one.
And it's especially true with words that you read first before you ever hear anybody utter it.
Yeah.
Those ones, for whatever reason, the way you construct it in your head becomes really sticky.
And I think it's because there's a lot to like an emeritus is somebody who was a professor.
Yeah, they're
or
like
something.
retired, right?
They're like,
so the reason
they just hang around a fucking university forever.
The reason I know this is because, you know, when I was down with the religion business, like the church we were part of, their top, there's a segment of like close
Mormon
to the top
emeriti?
leaders. Yeah. So like they have the quorum of the 70.
Oh,
they don't have a lifetime calling.
Oh, I didn't know
like
that.
the people at the very top. So
the 12 are lifetime.
The 12 are lifetime,
okay.
But the 70, they don't, when they're rotated out, they become 70, emeritus 70.
Yo, I didn't know
that. So that's where I know the word from, is from that situation, but it's typically applied to professors, like an emeritus professor.
This is not the venue for this, but I can't help myself. When did the 70 become a thing? Were they always a thing? Even like in 1840? Were there enough Mormons to have 70 high level?
Well, the funny thing is they've almost never had actual
70 of them.
70 of them. It's just called a quorum of 70.
Dude, I did not know that either.
Yeah. Huh. So like, I don't know now, but there would have been a moment in time you'd go look at, and they've got like 8 quorums of 70, but there would be like 40 of them in the first one and like 35 in the second one.
Got it.
It's an administrative position.
Yeah, I know. But it is kind of higher level, right?
Yes, it is.
Anyway,
it is.
That word. Sorry, what is it? Emeritus.
Emeritus.
Fuck. What?
Think of like merit.
Okay.
Emeritus.
That helps actually a lot. Emeritus. Okay. Archmage Emeritus is here because it just, right, you're going to cast you're going to cast enough to justify the one draw.
True.
And it's 4 mana. You could go harder and swap in Niv-Mizzet, the ultimate Emeritus, who he's still president. And
but this
CEO.
Like locks it in, right? Because now you've got a cantrip deck with whatever you're doing here.
Yeah.
Right?
This creature essentially knows how to cast a cantrip. That's what it does every time it sees you do it. So the speed's up here with the instants and sorceries.
Yeah.
Gone is the things that we saw in the other one, right? Drawn from dreams, and you're just not really seeing those high-ended spells because you're really like, I just want the functional reprint of the same card over and over and over again if I can get them. The commander kind of says it too, like, hey man, do the thing and get out of my room. Like that's what I'm wanting you to do. She's like kind of a mini Archmage Emeritus in that way. VV Orniteer is here. Same story. The more that spells that creature sees, the better. It would be kind of okay in that other deck eventually as a way to help a spell or two when you use that mana activation to add the red blue. But seriously, I just don't think it's worth it. Plus, you're not going to get the spell for your commander. It's got to be 4 mana or greater. So you're seeing the downshift here.
Yeah.
But the proactivity, I think, is still obvious.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
And then similarly, it's looking to win through token production, right? Like I've got many versions of them. Alondra, Skydreamer, and Talrand are both in the list.
Okay.
Because they see both sides of an equation that we're trying to solve. Talrand's like, hey man, Drake for every spell. And Alondra's like, hey man, Drake for every second card. But then also, if you manage to draw a 5th card each turn, she just jumps the fuck up. Her and her Drakes all pound out and become like an overrun type situation.
I was going to say, you could have an overrun turn to close it out.
Drawing 5 spells is a little tough, but it can happen where you've got Jorian, some of these other effects, and the spells themselves draw you cards. It's not impossible.
Not crazy.
Rite of the Dragon Caller is here also, because that's one hell of a rate to get a 5/5 flyer for these types of spells. You're getting probably many. And then Young Pyromancer's here, because I think I'm okay on the other side. You could swap these around. You could take the Rite of Dragon Caller down and go grab the monk that makes the soldiers. Yeah, he makes the 1/1. No, you're thinking of the white one.
Oh, that's right. Wrong
I'm
colors.
pretty sure it's a monk, but it makes
colors.
servo soldiery guys. Eris, Roar of the Storm. The only issue with Eris here is the mana value to try to work around it. I wasn't super into trying to get a variety of mana values to reduce that cost. They worded him in such a way. You're likely going to pay 6 to 4 to get this guy down with this list.
Reduced by 2 for each different mana value among instants and sorceries in your graveyard.
And he's 8 blue-red, so he's a lot. But Flying Prowess, and when you cast your second spell each turn, so exactly the same language as, Almond Milk Girl up there. But in this case, you make a 4/4 red elemental dragon creature token with flying and prowess. So that compounding can happen further. Prowess is a velocity keyword. It's not a quality keyword. Although, we're moving closer to Strixhaven spoiler season. A lot of what I'm saying is going to shift. I've seen some stuff where it's like they want to reward high mana value.
Which is interesting.
And I'm there for it. So, but here it's like, hey man, I want you to resolve multiple spells a turn, and my dragons do too. By this way, this guy's also flying and prowess, right? Yeah. In the middle, there's flying and prowess. So you kind of see it, Kyle, where we've shifted things over a little bit, but what is to be gained by waiting with this commander? Do I really nuke my own turn? You could reconfigure the deck to be like, I'm going to do it every cycle, but I just, I don't know. I don't know how that looks, but really for the purposes of this episode, this deck is set up in such a way where I think it's more front-footed,
What I'm liking about the exercise that's kind of happening over the course of this episode is it's I feel invited into this challenge your intuitions thing, right? I think I'm guilty of trying to build any Spellslingers that I've done into pretty reactive type things. And maybe there's some proactive type plays in the deck, but it's mostly built to be reactive. And I like that. You're right. Jorian, you could build a reactive deck around Jorian, right? But is that the right thing to do? And you have the experience, like you mentioned up front, getting into this deck list that, just get the 2 on your turn and go. Feels like it really works well. Mm-hmm. And I'm liking that, challenging my intuitions here.
Yeah. Now that you're saying that out loud, I guess it kind of, it reminds me of that really what was that song in the early aughts about feeling the rain on your skin and, the chick about.
Are you talking about Alanis Morissette?
No. She was like a one-hit wonder, and it was something about challenging your intuition or something like that was in the song. But you get the whole notion of the song was you got to do things yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
To experience it yourself. I could Google it, but that's kind of what this is reminding me of. It makes sense to me because I've done it, and that's unfortunate. I'm trying to communicate it to the listener the best I can. I hope it's coming across.
No, but I think the construction of your list helps me see why you've landed there, right? Because I think if somebody handed me Jorian and said, how would you build it? My first thing would be well, I want to be the school of low mana.
Yeah.
And I want to try to capitalize on this on as many turns as possible. But when I look at your list, though, I can see where just being hey, I'm prioritizing my turn.
Yeah.
As the thing that's going to happen. And then, there might be some circumstances where I end up back-footed, but I'm prioritizing my turn. That's where the action's happening. And it's constructed here. I see it,
Cool. Good. Let me get freaky really quick.
Okay.
If I wasn't already. Gone is the higher MV mana rocks. Replaced is now the 2 mana range of things, along with Curious, Homunculus, Sorcerer class, VV. So you're seeing kind of a different shift where there's ramp here, Jorian's like, hey, I don't care what kind of spell it is, so I'm okay to draw these mana rocks. One could push this thing further, I guess, into the direction of instants and sorceries matter and do rituals here.
Sure.
There is another version of this deck where it's got a lot of the, hey, whenever you cast a non-creature or instant or sorcery spell, deal 1 damage to everybody. A lot of those actually fall into the 2 mana range. Gutter Snipes like at 3.
Yeah.
There's also like Burgi and Urabrask and I think Ashling 2.0 or however many Ashlings we're at now, but those are there too, where it's like, hey, I see you're doing the thing, add mana back into your mana pool and carry the turn further.
Yeah.
My whole purpose with this was to really speak directly to the commander, stop it to maybe go further if you find other permanents or push through the turn. So instead, I'm making tokens, things that are more permanent, things that I can kind of develop around. And then the other thing that I want to talk about with this list specifically is the golden mean that I'm targeting. So it gets kind of tough to win games when you're asking your opponents to reach for their life total every 10 seconds. They're effective aristocrat style damage, ambient damage, whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
That's what we call it. It's effective way to win games. It sneaks up on people even when you introduce it late. It's like the life totals are in such a state that like they can't really afford to lose life like this. We have seen plenty of games won off of instances of 1 or 2.
Yeah.
But it just, it creates kind of a rallying effect for your opponents.
It's true. People start to be like, oh, we need to make that not happen anymore.
Yeah, and I'm not sure that this commander and these catalogs of cards can handle that.
Sure.
Very well.
Sure.
You're going to get overrun by the green player. Aristocrats is good because it often combos off. There's a combo involved eventually if someone is building the deck where it's like some Sun Titan sack outlet stuff. And then it also has the
you can bring in the Dictate of Erebus type stuff that manages the
it has a
crackback.
compounding effect where here I'm like, you put curiosity on one of these things, you do the classic, I'm going to do Sulthim and add those guys. Like you're getting further and further away from resolving the spells each turn just to hit the next card. So
True.
There is a version of this that I think you could do where it's like, it's a lot of pingers, the 3 curiosity style effects that exist in this thing. I just would kind of caution that like, you're not, my thing was trying to make a deck that flies down the middle. It's prepared for problems as they arise. It'll have a good amount of card flow. The commander is fairly inoffensive. I don't know why anyone would target it specifically unless they're just kind of convulsing off of the history of a last game that you played.
Sure.
That's the aim of this deck. But you could take it in the other direction and shove it where, yeah, I'm doing a lot of burn damage and I'm drawing a second card and that's enough for me. Right?
But I will say,
I think there's different places you can go, just like Ashling.
Yeah.
I think because of how open-ended the language is on this chick.
But to be fair to what you're describing, if somebody wanted to go that direction, again, I think as we've spent some time talking here about Jorian, the language does speak to you can continue to be front-footed and those can be a participant in her trigger, right?
Yeah.
So like if you want to involve some of those things that necessarily by virtue of the type of card they are have to be played on your turn, she's still like, okay, you resolved Burgi. Let's get the second spell on your turn so I can trigger.
You're right.
Like,
so you could take it in that direction. And if you play with strangers, I would probably say you should. I don't know what the etiquette is out there. What yours truly is coping with when he makes lists is Kyle will always remember how that last game went, as will everybody else, So I really try to make things where it's not so easy to clock me. It's not easy to be like, we're going to kill him, guys, right? Because I present, like in Kyle's case, a Heliod level threat.
Sure.
And I'm not saying Jorian's there, but I think there's just a version of it where I get even less charity because I'm aggravating you guys with 1 damage every time I do something,
It happens.
That looks like Perforos. If I built that deck and I had one guy that just said deal 1 damage to people whenever I cast an instant sorcery, well, I'm targeting 2 a turn.
Yep.
So it's Perforos in the zone with blue, essentially. Is function not in the zone, but the way I
it's
built
happening.
It. Yeah.
You've constructed it that way.
Then I start adding like the stuff that's right, like the city on fire and I'm gonna convoke all this thing and just do red or put this out and go, so there is a version of that, and it probably is okay. I like the idea of doing that and adding like, Gerson Starn and whatever. But like, what's cool is that Jorien's like, okay, whatever. I just want 2 spells, dude.
Just do 2.
Yeah.
Just do 2.
Just give me your nut and get out of here.
Are you done?
Cool.
Yeah, I like that.
Let's divert away from Izzet for the rest of this recording. Nuriv. Nuriv Crackling Vanguard is another one I'm interested in trying as like a proactive Spellslinger style deck. But we're going to get a little strange, I guess. With it. 2, a red, a white, and a black for a 4/4 flying death touch. When Nuriv enters, you create 2 1/1 red goblin creature tokens. Whenever Nuriv attacks, exile a number of cards from the top of your library equal to the number of differently named tokens you control. This is hard. I actually haven't really worked this too much. I'm like, I need to figure this out. I'll come back to that.
Yeah.
During any turn that you've attacked with a commander, which is wild, you may play those cards. So one of the things that we've been circling, I think, is just the lack of permanence that come from an instant or sorcery. We've touched on that there are instants and sorceries, though, that create permanence. They create tokens. Red is widely recognized as a good way to generate treasure, right? Like you can pump out treasure from cards like Big Score, Pirate's Village, Seize the Spoils. Like there's a battery of cards that just one that just says, hey, make a treasure. It's strike it rich. So that exists.
Doesn't that one have flashback too?
It does. It does. So what I'm aiming for here is a proactive front-footed deck that wants to use instants and sorceries to generate tokens. Is it the smartest thing to do with this commander? I don't know. There's a lot of permanents that pump out a high volume of tokens. Let's say Adeline, for example.
Sure.
There's ones in this precon that do it. They make tokens out of creatures you already control.
Yeah.
There's a lot. But what's not really happening is an instant or sorcery that its mana to token ratio is often better than those permanents, provided no one, like Adeline won't do anything until you get to start swinging with your other creatures or whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe Adeline's a bad example because she's fucking crazy. But you get what I mean, right?
Yeah.
Like Release the Dogs is 4 mana to make 4 dogs.
Sure.
That's it. It's a great rate. It's just like, there it is, 4 mana, 4 dogs.
Yeah.
It's incredible. So when you're thinking about it that way, and then really just being freed to make different varieties, like Adeline's only ever going to make you the one style of token, and this thing wants a variety of tokens.
Yes.
It opens up a lot too. And then
that's true because there's a diminishing return on getting those tokens relative to narrative, right? So like if I had a Hero of Bladehold, like, okay, those soldiers are great, but they're only adding so much to
the card exposure that you get from the commander. Yeah. So the aim of this deck is going to be proactive because we need to attack with a commander on the turn. In our case, it will be Nerve.
Yeah.
Nerve. And then we want a variety. And like to get them, we're looking at cards like Rowell's Reinforcements that just gives you 2 stupid elementals.
Yeah.
You could do Big Score, right?
Sure.
2 treasures. So now I'm getting 3 cards. One from the Goblin pack that came with this guy because he's a precon commander and has to solve his own problems. And then another one from Rowell's Reinforcement Elemental Doughheads. And then one more because I have a treasure or 2 or whatever because we're playing Commander in 2026.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
So it's a Spellslinger list where the bulk of the instants and sorceries are coming off, the bulk of the tokens are coming off of instants and sorceries. I have 22 of them. Here.
Okay, that'll do.
Now, are they different? All of them? No. Some of them make goblins. A lot
Sure.
of them make goblins. Some make zombies. Others make zombies. Some make monks. Another one makes monks. But I think there's enough variety. Like Vivi's Persistence, for example. God, I'm sorry I'm bringing up these cards. They're expensive. 1 in a red for an instant. You make a 0/1 black wizard creature token with, whenever you cast a non-creature spell, this token deals 1 damage to each opponent. And then it has this last line of whenever a commander enters or attacks, which you are going to want to attack with Nuriv, right? You may pay 2. If you do, return this card from your graveyard to your hand.
Dude, that's great because if you lose it, you can keep getting it back. It's a squishy token.
It's a squishy token, but it starts seeing itself and it starts seeing Nuriv's like, well, hey, that's a black wizard. I'm going to give you 1 extra card exposure from my thing. And
nice.
2 if you still have the goblin. So call the Coppercoats. Lingering
card.
Souls. One just from this clutch of, Nerves in the Art. It's Will of the Mardu. 2 and a white, choose one. If you control your commander as you cast this spell, you may choose both. You can create a number of 1/1 red warrior creature tokens equal to the number of creatures target player controls.
Probably
You're going to likely target yourself, but hey, if someone's ahead of you, you're going to catch up. Will of the Mardu deals damage to target creature equal to the number of creatures you control.
Oh.
Yeah. Benevolent Offering. I love Benevolent Offering.
That's a good one.
Kyle. 4 mana, choose an opponent. You and that player each create 3 1/1 white spirit creature tokens with flying. So it's 4 mana to create 3 high quality tokens, but then choose an opponent. It could be a different one if you want it to be. You gain 2 life for each creature you control, and that player gains 2 life for each creature they control. So
it's a good game shift card.
It's a great shift, and it's an instant too.
Yeah.
Call of the Feast. It's 4 mana to make 3 white vampires with lifelink. They have lifelink. So spice to taste. You could shift this down where it's like, I've got all the 2 mana for 2s, or even a couple 1 mana for 1s if they exist. You can get the one that make those ugly big nosed goblin dudes that are like kind of gross, but they're wizards with prowess.
Yeah.
There's that one where it has storm and makes that many prowessy dragons. You could go for that.
True.
You can go for the big ones where it's like, hey, take the current volume of tokens you have and make as many more of a different type. So like Visions of Glory's 5 mana to say, hey, make a white human creature token for each creature you control. So the instants of sorceries are making it. They're getting shoved into exile, and Nariv is keeping them accessible through that combat. I don't know at what tipping point do you get where there's too much shit going into exile that you can't really even move on any of it, right? It feels like 4 is a good number,
True.
like 4 differently named tokens, and you're probably good to go. What are you really going to do? You know, I guess it will start informing itself very quickly when you start looking for like the 1 and 2, maybe 3 mana spells that make weird tokens that you've never seen before, because they're the ones you can move on at a higher velocity, I suppose, with Nariv. You get it?
That's a good point, because it kind of answers itself a little bit, right? Like, okay, well, I don't need to cast that right now because I already have tokens of that name.
Yeah.
Like that one, those will be some good tokens and adds to the count.
Mine is like a smattering of both.
Yeah.
Like I'm kind of showing like, hey, here's like the dog one that makes a bunch of dogs. Because where else do you get dogs, I guess?
Sure.
And then here's someone that makes, so listener could list to go, I just want to get the low mana value ones and go quicker.
I get that.
With that ability.
But again, like, where does it fit with your group?
Yeah. And this I think is cool because it gives a Spellslinger deck a way to compound on things that it normally wouldn't be able to do that. Like Skull Clamp is not present even in that Jori-En list. Because like the odds of me finding specifically the guys that make the 1/1s.
Yeah.
One could tell me that Skull Clamp is strong enough that even if you have the most fleeting opportunity to put it in your list, you should, to capitalize on it. And I wouldn't disagree, but it ain't in the list. Where here it's like, okay, well, right?
Yeah, it's an obvious fit here.
It's an obvious fit. But then on top of that, I think there's another element that speaks broadly to tokens that is kind of an emergent way of playing, which people call crash out aristocrats. It's very, very present in this color identity. It's almost like designed for it. In fact, the actual commander from this dude's precon, the Zergo, speaks directly to this notion. It's like, hey, I want this to happen. It's a red, a white, and a black for a 3/3 for an orc warrior that has mobilize. When this creature attacks, create a tapped and attacking 1/1 red warrior creature token. Sacrifice it at the beginning of the end step. So it's temporary. You get the warrior. It comes out tapped and attacking. It might not even come back from the red zone, but you sack it at the end of combat.
Yeah.
But whenever a creature token you control leaves the battlefield, draw a card if it was attacking. Otherwise, each opponent loses 1 life. You get a similar version of this with Garna, Bloodfist of Keld, who's also in the deck.
Cool, legend.
You get a lot of like, whenever a creature dies, people lose life effects in black. These are we already use them for aristocrats. Like we instead of feeding our stuff through a sack outlet, Kyle, I'm just going to attack you and you're my sack outlet. It's one of those things where it's like lose life or lose life. That's, I think, the concept behind this aggro aristocrats idea. And to produce a wide range of tokens a wide volume of tokens and to force this onto everybody every turn, where you've got Grave Venerations out here. Narrative is basically keeping the Monarch for you pretty handedly. And every time these creatures die, everyone's losing life.
So
pretty sick.
Pretty cool. And can I add something I really like with what you've done here? And I know this is kind of a little bit derived from some things that Brad was working on with this legend, but like an opportunity that exists within front-footed Spellslinger is that the whole deck doesn't have to be all instants and sorceries. Like, I think your draw is really emblematic of this, right? Like, you brought up Zurgo, you brought up the Skull Clamp. You can have things like Takesha's Welcome here, or you also brought up Garna or Caretaker's Talent or Caesar, Legion's Emperor. Like, because you're being front-footed, you don't have to be so like everything's got to be an instant. You can use things that are best for what you were trying to do.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. I think it opens up what you can play because you've made this decision. It's about how you're playing.
Right. It's like cool to squint at cards like this. So like Archmage Emeritus is in a token Spellslinger style deck. Tokasia's Welcome is your card. It's an enchantment that functionally does the same, close to the same thing.
Yeah.
Or Jorian or something.
Yeah.
Where like if I've built the deck in such a way where it doesn't really matter where the tokens are coming from, the rest is what I'm really going to hook my wagon to.
Yes.
So for this specifically, it's like there's not a lot of permanence, I think, that people can really grab onto because they're coming off of the instants and sorceries.
Sure.
And then I think the real trick from there is to, okay, well then why am I running the instants and sorceries? Like, how do I push those further? Candidly, that's a little tough to do when we're thinking this way. But, you've got things like Increasing Vengeance, Dual Caster Mage. Dual casting is pretty wild. It's 1 in a red, enchant creature. You can red tap, copy target instant or sorcery spell you control. You may choose new targets for the copy. It's another very low mana value way to make a twin.
Yeah.
You enchant one of these tokens that will never attack. It's basically your variety of your version of a spell twinner, right? Like, you find it here instead of, I wouldn't do it to the commander because you want to attack with the commander, but you see?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm trying to marry some strategies together. Again, Arcane Bombardment is here because of just the tokening.
Fucking
I'm getting
awesome.
tokens for tokens. Mizzix's Mastery is here to get them, right? You've got basically like this army in a can in your graveyard ready to go the longer this has gone.
Mm-hmm.
When other token generating effects are dealt with, I don't know if they have a way to do it quite like this.
That's true.
If I've killed Adeline and a bunch of other token like your Grave Titan, things like that, you can recover a little bit.
But those things require turns to
these
recover.
Spells and I overload Mizzix's Mastery, it's going to look a lot different.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Surge to Victory, I think, is a pretty fun one for a deck like this. One could probably put it in the Jorian list, but exile target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard. Creatures you control get +X+O until end of turn, where X is that card's mana value. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player this turn, copy the exiled card. You may cast the copy without paying its mana cost. So I'll give you an example. Maybe you have 3 flying spirits and your dragon, right? And what's in your graveyard is that thing that gave you the 3 flying spirits, the benevolent offering.
Mm-hmm.
I attack Kyle with this. They're all +4, right? Because of the benevolent offering. It's going to go off 1, 2, 3, 4 times now because I've connected with all of these guys. So, oh boy, I'm getting a lot of life and replenishing dudes that now are back to block or whatever. If I've got some kind of like aristocrat style effect like a Zulaport Cutthroat, this is looking even more annoying for you because even if you clear me, I'm getting something out of what I'm doing, which I think is the real big thing to say about this style of deck, where it's like you almost can't lose with effects like that. You would have to remove it first, then clear me off.
Yeah.
Just be careful with Massacre Worms, folks, that they undo decks like this.
I mean, there's always got to be a weak spot somewhere, right? Like,
yeah, true. The removal is token focused, right? Like Release to Memory is like, hey, exile a yard and make tokens for each creature.
Yeah.
That's kind of the idea. Is the remove Zat's will is like, hey, everyone sack their tallest, biggest creature, nuke your yards, and I'm going to make a bunch of thralls because I'm getting both if I control a narrative. So even the removal is looking to make tokens. The defense of this deck is also the similar, right? Like Moogle's Valor, 5 mana for each creature you control. Create a 1/2 Moogle creature token with lifelink. Then creatures you control gain indestructible till end of turn. Fuck. Like
that's
that, dude.
That's some good synergy.
Yeah. So it's just, where can I make tokens? Where can I get different varieties of them? Can I bend it in a way where, because they're coming off instants and sorceries, can I twin them? Like, I'm not super interested here in like Gutter Snipe or any of that. But what I am looking for is like, how do I get more of these things to come out of the deck? And then really just converting it into something pretty crazy. Like Burn at the Stake, 2 red, as an additional cost to cast Burn at the Stake. Tap any number of untapped creatures you control. Burn at the Stake deals damage to target creature or player equal to 3 times the number of creatures tapped this way. Gah. 3 times that number. So whatever you're at now.
It's an old school card.
Oh, he's got Ghostly Prison or Propaganda. You're not screwed. You can dunk them with
like,
this.
sorry, I'm still getting you.
Yeah, and if you've got that weird dual casting thing, you'll leave one off to twin the whole damn thing. Right?
I love decks like this where you can find things that speak to all your needs. You know, like these protection spells. I love those. The removal, like that they're not just doing their job generically, but they fit the deck.
Yeah. Another way you could look at this also, dear listener, is if you don't own Anointed Procession and its many expensive cousins, if you twin a spell, it looks really close.
It sure does.
It sure does. A twinned big score is big moment for people.
A Mizzix's mastery is way less than an Anointed Procession.
Yeah, you overload that in someone's face. It's like release the dogs and the elementals and a bunch of humans and some goblins. It's pretty crazy. And like, what's not here is impact tremor style stuff. You could start attaching damage to both ends.
Sure.
Maybe move away from some of the board wipiness that I've got. My board wipes are like, hey, destroy everything but tokens, or hey, just make a bunch of tokens then destroy stuff.
Sure.
Is kind of how I've got it. But you're talking to a guy who can't help himself with stuff like this. I never bet on my own board state.
Yeah.
But if you lean harder on the I drain everybody idea and I'm just going to keep moving forward, it might work out. It might work out better than the way I've got it constructed, where they're just gone because they're dealing with more and more of these. But like, there's a version of this where you work in Teysa and she's like, well, hey, they all have lifelink now. We forget that she does that. And she also is like, well, hey, whatever death triggers you've already set up in this deck will go off twice. Like, barf. Like, she sees both sides of that crash out aristocrats sequence if you're talking about tokens explicitly.
But again, this speaks to the fact that having a planned front-footed Spellslinger construction makes room for stuff like that, because you don't put yourself in the position where you're like, oh, do I cast Teysa this turn, or do I need to hold my mana up? Like, you don't have that decision to make. Put her out if she fits in line with what you're playing, right?
Yeah, it's cool. I think there's a lot here. We cover a lot of weird subgenres.
Sure.
This department is like, I guess someone might call it Token Slinger, I think is one that comes up in our Discord.
Yeah.
But it's an instant or sorcery that creates bodies. So it affords you a level of persistence and compounding that like normally an instant or sorcery wouldn't be able to do. I'm doing it in other places with other decks, like the Archaeomancer style stuff. But here it's like, I don't know, man, it's a 1/1. Like, what do you do with that? We already know. We've done it. There's plenty of token decks that exist. There's plenty of aristocrat decks that exist. They're seeming to like try to build stuff out and drop it through a sack outlet, where here it's like, I'm basically told to attack.
Yeah.
So, and then they exist somewhere where people really can't reach it. There is the problem that when you if people have the mind to deal with your commander specifically, they'll lock you off from those cards. Like,
sure,
there should probably be something like that in mind, that a smarter player might see, ooh, I really can lock this guy off from a lot of what they're getting access to, as long as this thing stays zoned. But black and white and even red are fairly defensive colors when you have mind to keep control of your commander.
Yeah.
I think you'll be okay.
Yeah, you pick your lane, right? You could redirect spells, you could protect, like whatever.
You could swap these around. You could make Zergo the commander.
Sure.
I think you'd be okay with that. I just wanted something that like will very likely come back from a combat step.
Yeah.
And nerves a flying death toucher.
Flying death touch is
I just picked the right person that either doesn't have any flyers or a person who has a flyer they love too much, like a Con Sphinx, and I'd be okay to have them block it.
I will continue to contend. I think flying is the miracle of this game. Like they designed just enough of it that it's valuable.
Yeah, right. Especially when you have multiple opponents you can choose to attack. How are we feeling about this?
These are some fun examples. And I like this list, and I like you're showing like, hey, this isn't just an Izzet thing. Like, there's other spaces. Also, side note, I do love the fucking like token slinger thing. It's fun stuff to do. It feels different than other token decks.
Yeah, you've brushed on it a little bit here and there.
Yeah, it's fun to play with.
It's like if you tell yourself, I want instants and sorceries to do the job, it will crystallize things for you.
Yeah,
like Adeline's not on this list. She could be.
Yeah,
there could be like tokens by any means, motherfucker. Like that could be the list.
But it is
this episode.
It is a fun build restriction, and you'll find if you've never done it before, there's plenty.
Yeah, I just really like the idea of like, all right, I'm recapturing all these instant sorceries in one big go.
Yeah, that's a cool play.
Where outside of this, it's like send from Avernus, something.
Yeah,
where here it's like there's ways to do it, but this is like, let's just go for it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna Mizzix's mat or that Arcane Bombardment. Like I just love Arcane Bombardment, but. I think it'll be okay, honestly.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
Let's talk about one last commander to really like drive the nail into this stupid coffin and throw it into the crematorium. Krark. Krark is a really interesting legend. Twinning spells is powerful.
Yeah.
It just is. You're getting 2 of what you should only get 1 of. Every time the company releases do a thing, do it twice, it is of high interest to this format, right? Like whenever you make a token, make 2 instead. Whenever you deal damage, deal double or triple that instead. Doing a thing twice is really good. When we're talking about instants and sorceries, just the sky's the limit on what could happen. There's a few where it doesn't really matter, but there's a lot where doubling these effects is extremely potent to get 2 out of them. And then there's just this weird thing that happens where you can fall into these crazy engines when you can twin them. So like I already listed one off with the Archaeomancer and a twin and a clone spell. It's like, well, we can just keep going and keep making this an ever widening funnel of Andy is playing Magic the Gathering, right? Where it's like I'm getting more of these clones and more of these things and more things back to hand. And I'm not, instead of returning just 1 spell because I make it right. Like I can get 3 clones and make 3 clones of the Archaeomancer. So I'll return this, and this, and a counterspell to just really show you that I'm not going to let you stop this. Yeah. If I can help it.
Yeah.
So twinning spells is potent. It's just using it in the right places for the right rate is the trick, is the maturity that you need to have.
Yeah.
It to me, it doesn't make a lot of sense to twin Ponder or Preordain. It makes better sense just to cast their functional reprint cousins and keep going. Unless you get it at one hell of a rate, then it's like, okay, then just do it, I guess. Where it's like my only cost is I tap Stella Lee and I got nothing better to do, then we'll do it.
Sure.
So Krark, as far as I know, sort of like dual casting and Stella Lee and stuff like Kitsa, maybe they're very conditional or mana barriered. Krark is the lowest mana value card that's a permanent anyway, that will allow you to copy spells.
Yeah.
With some provisions.
Comes with some risk, but...
Comes with some provisions.
Yeah.
So let me just read it off so we can set the stage for where we're headed, and then I'm going to talk about history, and then we'll get into the deck. Because Kyle's... Yeah. You've already spent hours with me on this whole concept. 1 in a red for a 2/2 Goblin Wizard. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, flip a coin. If you lose the flip, return that spell to its owner's hand. If you win the flip, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. One could read this and be like, I really want to get heads every time because I get the spell twice and it sucks. If I don't get the spell, it comes back to my hand.
One could read it that way.
Another person could read this and go, can I create a scenario where even if I lose the flip, I get something?
Mm.
And then one could read and go for both, right? Is there a version of this deck where it doesn't matter the outcome? And that's where this commander gets really dangerous and very quite lame, candidly. right when this thing came out, there was another commander that was released in this same set. It was almost like they wanted us to do it. And it was Sakashima of 1,000 Faces. So Sakashima simply just says the legend rule doesn't apply to you. And Sakashima is one of the best clones in the game for your own stuff. Comes in, clones Krark, and now you have Krark and Krarkashima, essentially, right? Sakashima doing his best impression, Oscar-winning performance of who Krark was and is. And it's really annoying because now what happens is you cast a spell, you flip 2 coins, right? And you either get double the result, you get twin and original.
Yeah.
Or, God forbid, you fail and you succeed. And what that reads is you resolve the copy and pull the original back to your hand, which is basically the same thing that I was talking about with the Archaeomancer and the Twinner and the copy spell.
Yeah. With
way less setup. And both of them are available in your command zone.
In the zone is the operative thing.
Yeah. So began the myth that was Krarkashima that lasted for that summer and then forth. Many people had to sit through games against this deck, and maybe some people still do, where you're watching somebody fiddle around. It got to the point where someone released an app in the Google App Store to just manage it.
Yeah.
To the level of granularity of actual permanent cards that spoke to it. Well, how many thumbs do you have? How many Sakas do you have? How many? Oof. And you could program all of that in and hit one button and it would give you your results.
Right.
It's that bad. It's that bad. It's very not cool. Very not cool. Yours truly made a deck out of it. Mine was Goblin Kindred.
You reined yourself in. You gave yourself a pretty rigid restriction.
I tried very hard. I was like, I will have goblins. I want to clone this. I want an Izzet Goblin deck. God damn it.
Yeah.
Me and Brad get into these weird things where we're trying to do versions of each other's decks, but in different colors. We've done it with pirates. We did it with Urza and the Urza boys, right? Urza and Mishra.
Oh yeah, Mishra.
We're brothers. We just do this. His was a Wart, Boggart, Auntie, Rakdos.
Spell Twinner.
No,
not that time.
Not that time, but
he's done everything. He's done goblins everything imaginable,
right? Yeah, except for Izzet. I'm pretty sure. But yeah, I was looking to use instants and sorceries, token spells to create goblins.
Yeah,
and then make them all Krark or something and shift them around and do like that whole goofy goose stuff.
Remind me, were all of your clones instants and sorceries, or were you using... Okay.
Yeah, Sword of Sakashima.
Yeah.
So instead I had Irenicus's Vile Duplication, which is just as bad.
Yeah, like it's the reflecting pull one, like
all
whatever.
of it. So it became too many Krarks and goblin stuff. So I had stuff that liked goblins, like all of the things that goblins like. I had the Goblin Assassin in the deck where it was like, oh my God, dude, how many fucking creatures are we going to sacrifice? Krenko was in the list, and it was like probably the one time you see Krenko in a deck where he's not really the alpha player in what the deck is supposed to do in regard to goblins. He was really definitely kind of the beta there. Like this combination was pretty wild. I peeled stuff out. I was like, okay, well, I can't have the Skirk Prospector because I can keep sacking these goblins to add mana back into my mana pool and run the fucking die again and flip the coin. Because remember, if you get a pass and a fail, you get another run at the spell.
Yes.
You get the resolution of it, and then you get another run at the spell, which means I'm holding the turn. It was an extremely proactive deck, but I'm not sharing the game experience with anybody. I'm being extreme. I'm hogging the controller. I'm being selfish. People are watching me just beat off is what we used to say. And we still do. That's the history. So with all of that couched out here and put out there, I struggle with this legend because of what it does to my friend's time agency, right? One of the things I really don't like to do too often with my friends is I don't like to step on their agency, denying them mana, denying them cards in hand. Like Discord is really up against the edge of this to me. And then the last thing is just time, right? Like there are versions of commander decks that we can create where we're the only ones that play. Absolutely. And you're at very, very high risk of doing this with instants and sorcery decks.
Yeah.
Spellslinger decks they're very risky here. So with trying to keep your friends in mind, I'm going to run this one past Kyle and see what he thinks.
Let's do it.
There's another idea, I think, where you could be smart with Krark, and that's what I've described, or you could be really, really risky and candidly kind of an idiot with Krark. If we
are you playing goblins if you aren't being a little bit of an idiot?
A little bit of an idiot. Vial Smasher the Fierce is the partner here. You know I had to do it. I just can't help myself. So it's another goblin. 1 black and a red for a 2/3. Whenever you cast your first spell each turn, choose an opponent at random. Vial Smasher deals damage equal to the spell's converted mana cost to the player and or planeswalker that player controls. One of my favorite legends. I adore Smasher. I just do. It's just so much because it's like, the higher the mana value, the bigger the payoff. It's proportional. Like Vial Smasher wouldn't have a lot to do in Jory N's deck.
Is Vial Smasher's hair kind of long?
Yeah.
I love that there's a goblin with like a receding hairline, but keeping the long hair.
Like the kind of mullet thing. Yeah. She was Ankle Shanker.
That's right. Ankle Shanker.
And then stuff happened. I really wish we'd get like Ankle Shanker legendary, but.
Oh, that would be so cool. Anyways.
So one of the strong things that you can do with twinning is accounting for the additional cost when you twin.
Yeah.
So we've mentioned a few times doing a big score twin. Because the cost is already paid, dear listener, when you get the twin, you don't have to pay it again. It's already done. You just get the effect. So to twin a big score means you cast the big score, and part of that cast is that you discard the card. Then you draw, if you get a twin spell, right? Mm-hmm. You draw 4 and produce 4 treasures. That is an incredible move for 4 mana and a card.
It's so good.
It's so good.
It's so good that if I pull it off during a game, I'm like, okay, I can lose. I pulled off a twinned big score.
Twinned big score.
It was pretty fucking good. I had a good game.
It's a big score. It's big score, big score. Yeah, it's like money bin score is what it is. It's a money bin. So with Quark, that's very attractive. However, with how Quark is worded, if you fail the flip with Quark, you just draw nothing and you discard the card and burn your mana. And that is going to be the focus of this list.
Big bad.
That is going to be the focus of this stupid ass list. In so much that I have 19 versions of this in the deck where it's as an additional cost to do this, I have to discard or even in some cases sacrifice something to hope to have that bet hit hard.
Did you say what you called this category on your deck list?
No. It's draw ! You idiots. Yeah, it's like, do it. Fuck. I'm trying very hard to make this a palatable list, and I just don't know how else to do it.
Can we have a little pause here?
Sure.
Because I was listening to one of Mark Rosewater's podcasts recently. He was.
I'd love to be able to do his like high pitched tenor with that.
Oh, I
draw,
know.
you idiots!
Fuck yes, dude. So he was basically trying to do an episode responding to the commentary that like the UB stuff basically has gotten them away from doing traditional high fantasy design.
Yeah.
And he was kind of going through like, hey, we've never really been a traditional high fantasy.
Oh, I agree
game.
with him. 1,000,000%.
And he goes through and he illustrates how they've
got one word for you. Phyrexia.
Exactly.
There it is.
And that was the big one that was like, hey, this is kind of like our version of sci-fi, but it's entered into our universe. And he goes through and gives example after example, mostly going through time with the sets. But one of his big examples was goblins. He's like, goblins and other fantasy aren't like our goblins.
Yeah, ours are dumb.
Yeah, they're kind of these goofy caricatured idiots. And you know, I mean, I know the joke with me and Tiff for a long time has been like, ew, gross, but I'm ready to give up on that. My side of that joke. I do like that
hilarious.
They've created, made them hilarious. They've made their own version of goblins that are just kind of these goofballs, you know? And
yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Anyways.
This, I think, leans into that meme a little bit because this is not smart gameplay. The risk is extremely high. The bet could hit.
Yeah.
I could, for Magma, like, let's just come up with some examples, right? And this is just going to get like your blood rolling a little bit. Magmatic Insight is 1 red, Kyle, but as an additional cost to cast it, you have to discard a land. And then you get to draw 2 cards. So there's a version of this where you pay 1 mana and a land to draw 4 cards.
That's awesome.
That's incredible. That's incredible.
Unless
Cathartic Reunion is even dumber. It's really not a good idea to try something like this. 1 in a red as an additional cost to cast this spell, discard 2 cards, then draw 3. So really, it really is just a wheel is how you should see this card. In any other context, it's discard 3 cards, which is Cathartic Reunion is among them, to draw 3. That's really it. The card that you spell out, that's why cantrips kind of just replace themselves.
Yeah.
This is the red variety of a cantrip, is how red has been doing it for a while now. But if the bet hits with Krark,
it's so risky, but so good.
Yeah,
right?
You're introducing 6 new cards to your environment, essentially.
Can I just say that's like my least favorite art version?
Him, the weirdo, like
hugging a dinosaur.
Hugging the dinosaur. Yeah. Yeah. Hang on.
Like, there's other arts.
Hang on. You're right. Let's do this one from Assassin's Creed. Who are these guys? There we go. I don't know who they are. They are going to make out in a cave. Is that better? Do you see it?
I'm into it.
Then there's stuff like with black. Like black has this too with like as an additional cost, sacrifice a creature. We don't lean too hard on that here. It's deadly dispute and costly plunder to throw a treasure away.
Yeah.
I guess if you're a psycho, you could throw my Vial Smasher away for it. But that's really what we're looking at all the way the fuck down with higher and higher risk to mana, right? Like once you start looking at big score, Pirates Pillage, Unexpected Windfall, when you fail these flips with Krark, you've blown a 4 mana event. Where if you go over to what we did with Ashling, like these should be fucking better. Like we should be doing better.
True.
But we'll do great if the bet hits. It's really just like the 40k Daka for sure. Daka is what I'm going for here.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of ways to abuse this. I'm down cards. I could make another run at it with Krark if I fail, but the deck is built in such a way where I'm not able to really go off. I don't even know if I want Krark's Thumb in this, where you can basically flip 2 coins and select the better result.
Sure.
The deck is set up to eventually move away from this and start doing more. You've got things like the Kessig Flame Breather, or Kessig Flame Breather, Coruscation Mage, Unruly Catapult, Black Waltz number 3, the Destined Black Mage, where when you're casting the spells, they're at least doing something. You're getting damage from people, you get something. So even if you fail, right, Black Waltz hits everybody for 2, and Smasher smash is equal to the MV of one of the spells. It's not, you're not completely down. It's very Rakdos, I think. Caldera Pyramaw is picking up a counter, then dealing damage equal to its power to target opponents. So it'll do 4 right away.
Yeah.
Which is pretty wild. And then it's a flying attacker with a counters on it.
Yeah.
So it's more aggressive in this way, where now you're suddenly seeing these guys that I've been talking about throughout the series, where you are seeing the Gutter Snipe is here. One could probably be like, hey, I'm actually going to put the Roaming Throne in this list and break the coin. I guess you could walk away from what I really wanted you to do, but now you will break the coin again and name Goblin. Smasher goes off. I actually don't know if Smasher's allowed to go off twice with that. Anyway, but you'll get double Gutter Snipe.
Yeah.
And all of its different goblinness. You could go deeper. I don't really like Psychosis Crawler in non-green decks lately.
Sure.
However, a Psychosis Crawler with a Cathartic Reunion where the bet hits is 6 damage to all of my opponents.
That's pretty good.
Right.
And especially the volume that you have of those types of cards.
That's like 18 opponent damage, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. So this exists where at least I get something. It's just the resource is not unending. I don't really have too many ways to push this too far. One could go, well, what about the discard? I could watch that, right? You could maybe weave in some madness. I have ones where it's like, I really need to kill this creature and I have to get through. Like Big Game Hunter is in here where I can't fail. I can't fail. I got to kill this. So Big Game Hunter's here. Massacre Girl's here because she doesn't require a coin flip. Like sometimes you got to clear a board, bro. It's got to happen. That's that's the focus of this list, is just there's no advantage to waiting. That coin ain't going to flip itself.
True.
You ain't going to discard that card for nothing. Or you got to do it some. You got to do it sometime. You're not going to change the outcome. I've goldfished this thing a lot. There's versions of this where you're just getting permanent out, permanent out, permanent out, permanent out. But then your hand is shrinking when you're doing this. So the risk is even higher that you really won't be able to follow through with anything. So I've had hands where it was a bunch of like pingery-esque creatures, one of those spells, and I have to hold one of them to ditch it, and I fail. Ooh. So it's a little not skill intensive. It's a little like risk.
Sure.
Right. But then there's goldfishes where it fucking goes off, dude, where it's like, oh my God. Oh my God. It's like you're drawing a lot of cards, seeing a lot more cards.
Yeah.
But it's more of the same, I guess. Like you end up running into that card quality.
Sure.
Black pit where the deck is so consistent, but it's just more of the same thing where you've discarded cards to pick up more. I mean, like I've got, what did I say? 18 of these?
There's 18
of these.
Yeah. 19, I guess, in this category.
Yeah. I mean, I put Arcane Bombardment back in this deck again, but it would be honestly kind of insane to do it because if it's more of these spells, you would have to you got to pay the cost. You got to pay the cost. Yeah. Yeah. You don't have to pay the mana cost,
but you got to pay that discard cost.
Yeah. It doesn't say costs. So like I'm fairly certain you have to at least discard again. But
this is a red heavy deck.
But if the bet hits harder, man, it's like you're going to get so deep into your deck that Psychosis Crawler is going to nut. Static copy is a way to kind of get around Kark a little bit. Like that's kind of what you do when you clone him is that you really just kind of get this extra bet that maybe.
Sure.
So something like dual casting or bonus round if it goes through. Double vision. I wouldn't normally run a double vision in a deck with this lower MV sized spell, but really what double vision does is it makes sure the spell goes through.
Yeah.
And then even if you fail, it comes back to hand. So that does a pretty good emulation of what Kark's doing.
Right.
But what is not here is stuff that adds mana back to your mana pool too much. There's the one guy that's like, hey, if you win a coin flip, get 2 treasure. But it's like you've won. It's now in the graveyard with this guy.
Sure.
When you see him and the double vision is when it could get kind of, I mean, no, it'd still just go to yard. Like, there's not really a version of this, I think, where you have up to 3 to 4 coins like you can with the Karakushima.
Sure.
Harmonic Prodigy is another way, right? It will twin Kark's effect because Kark is a wizard.
Oh, right.
So if you wanted to go all, I put this in the I understand, meaning like I've tried to solve this the best I can is the name of this category. You could just get rid of it and go harder in and put more risky spells in your deck. Something like, I don't know, Fire Covenant, which would be insane of you to cast it. like stuff like that you could push in.
Yeah.
If you really were like, I just want to go all in on this like roulette style nut job.
Yeah.
Maybe do some reanimation where it's like, I got to get these guys back out.
Sure.
They got to come back.
Sure.
Another one that's interesting with Kark, I like this spell because one, it's just a spell I like because of what it does to the game, but it is a bit of a time violator. It's Possibility Storm. So it's 5 mana, 3 red, an enchantment. Whenever a player casts a spell from his or her hand, that player exiles it and exiles cards from the top of his or her library until he or she exiles a card that shares a card type with it. That player may cast that card without paying its mana cost, then put all cards exiled with Possibility Storm on the bottom of its library in a random order. Essentially what it says is, if you cast an instant, you don't cast that instant. It goes to this weird temporary exile pile. Then you exile until you get an instant. You cast that instant, and then that huge exile pile that the original spell was in gets pushed to the bottom of the library. And the possibility is there that you'll hit it at some other junction. There's versions of decks where you could plan for this. Like my Niv Mizzet list was planning for this. It had a very short list of enchantments in the list. It was this one and Omniscience and one other. And so if I hit that other enchantment with this thing out,
you knew you were getting Omniscience.
I would get Omniscient. It would go Omniscient.
That's awesome.
Or what was the other half Omniscience? Dream Halls.
Oh yeah.
It had like a very short list of enchantments, but like whenever they saw each other, it would fall into something nuts. And then like the way Niv Mizzet worked was, well, hey, I care that you cast the spell. So I cast an instant, don't resolve its effect, and go to its many cousins that basically do the same fucking thing.
Sure.
So this with Kark is kind of funny because Kark goes, well, hey, you cast a spell, flip a coin.
Fling.
And then if you fail it, it will jump back to your hand, and the possibility storm will continue to work, and it'll go to the next spell.
Right.
So you get like this weird, I don't know, fucking whack-a-mole situation where you do one and the other one comes out anyway, kind of story.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that I was talking about recently is like harvesting triggers is what you want to do, right?
Yes.
And it's a card like this allows you to harvest triggers.
So if your Black Waltz is down, they're getting hammered.
Yeah.
Right? Like they're getting hit with the double instance of this. The Thermo Alchemist, if you want one, your Unruly Catapult, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because you do cast them. You don't make copies. You don't do the other stuff that these cards tend not to see.
Yeah.
You cast them. So it has an interesting interaction with Kark. This is about as least time consuming as I can make this list, short of making it like mono bull red.
Sure.
So you don't have to have everybody roll for the smasher trigger, I guess. Yeah. There's smart plays. I think the lower the mana value this deck gets, the better off you are. Things like Expedite or whatever it is, like where it's like target creature gains haste, you draw a card. You can just keep attempting that. And I don't know what point drawing 2 is okay.
Sure.
But with these other guys out here, like the gutter snipes, you really are just hammering people for this spell.
More triggers to harvest.
That would probably be the smarter direction to go, dear listener. Stuff like Cremate, where it's like, hey, I'm going to exile a card from a graveyard, draw a card.
Yeah.
But then it triggers all of these other guys that I've got going. And if I fail it, I can just keep attempting it. There's a way,
like fails are good in a way because you have other things that see it. But yeah. But once it resolves, you're doing the thing you want to do.
Maybe there's a version with this where you put Zeta in the 99, Zada. Oh. I don't know. I don't know. I just think the danger with Kark is always you become a time suck.
Sure.
And you suck.
Sure.
And this is like, I'm showing you the level of risk. I'm like, okay, I'm going to discard a card. And there's going to be, if I don't mess with this too much, like 50% of the time, I do very little and I'm down resources. Even if you guys take 2, I'm down to like 2 cards.
Yeah.
The risk, I think, for me specifically as a player with this is the notoriety this commander has with my play group, the infamy I have with this play group, and then really just like I could fuck myself so hard that I don't really have a game and I end up dying to some other crazy thing and I just feel impotent and I'm left playing my Switch while you guys finish out the game between 3 players who really weren't impacted.
Yeah.
So when I goldfish it, it feels fucking hilarious and fun, but I don't know how this would feel in the real world. Despite how funny it would be to pull some of this goofy stuff off.
Yeah.
You know? I don't know. How do you feel about it as like a potential, like let's say I put it together before we play next. Like, would you be like wringing your hands with this one? Or?
No, I think I would be. I mean, one of my things is I really love when other people in the group and myself find things to do that are unique Magic experiences. And something like this is unique, right? Like you're not doing, you know, I think the game designers tried to do something with Kark where they're like, yeah, let's do this coin flip thing. In that era, they experimented with a couple others. There was the Battle Bond, like coin flip pairing.
Yeah. Okun and whatever.
Yeah.
Cinder Split.
You know, like they're trying to find something that's this weird little niche of like, what can we do that's got some coin flipping stuff that would be cool? And they gave an abusable version of it with Sakashima being in that release, but it provides something unique, right? And, and I think the dice rolling is another one like that I've tried to play around with a little bit. So I'm always encouraging of, I think people having those. I think your problem is you're right. Like I would probably be fine sitting back and seeing how you do with it. But I don't know that everybody in the group would have that charity.
Yeah. And it's nervous to watch me draw 6, 7 cards right in your face for a couple mana. It'd be like,
and I can contextualize for myself. Yes, but he's drawing cards in Rakdos, which is probably in the running for the worst 2-color pairing in the game.
It's rough.
Like it's really hard to mobilize Rakdos, especially knowing how you've constructed the deck. I'd be like, yeah, let's see it personally. Mm-hmm. I would, but I don't know that everybody in the group would feel that way.
Cool stuff that you can do with it. I like the idea of having the pingers see the fails. At least that's happening. The smarter way to play this, I think, is strip out as an additional cost to cast, or maybe hybridize it. I found almost every one of them that I think that matters.
Yeah.
you could do one half or the other, but I don't know, man. It kind of starts looking a little weird. If people are like annoyed watching you flip coins, like it takes a minute, even if you have it on an app, there's just like this extra layer.
I like that you didn't do the copies like for Krark. It is what it is, right? Like, yeah, you're going to be able to maybe chain a few of these together if you get lucky, but
you could do an Izzet version of this and not clone him, like just stay off of it, which would be like, I don't know, the pingers, the same cast of characters minus like the wizardy stuff that we got from Final Fantasy, and maybe introduce curiosity, like those, so you can't really lose. Like you draw 3 because they ping everybody. I don't know, do like Ludovic or something. If this is a little too nuts for you, you're like, I like the idea of doing this like high risk, high reward spell that has the additional cost to cast stuff, but I don't like the idea that like I could drain my, like really it's you run out of cards you could burn off where you're like, I'm out. So there is maybe a version of that where it's like, yeah, I've got a lot of the pingers, the who's who of those, and then those curiosity effects. So I fail it, but I ping everybody, so I draw 3 cards.
One of the hard things
even
about
that seems a little.
One of the hard things about Magic and the designers of this game is I think they like to give the impression that some things are risky in this game, but they really seem loath to actually let anybody fail. The dice rolling cards are a really good example of it. You don't fail dice rolling in Magic the Gathering.
Right. Like it's true. When those cards first came out, dude, I glazed over them. I'm like, I don't care. I don't want a card that won't do anything. But that's not how they work.
That's not how they work.
Yeah.
In D&D, you can fail a roll.
You can fail. You can critically fail. Yeah.
But in Magic, you can't fail a roll. And what you've smartly done here is
you can fucking fail.
Well, but you've smartly crafted the deck so that even if you do quote unquote fail,
smashers there, I guess.
There are successes, right? Like
minimally,
there's smasher, there's gutter snipe, there's other things that, you know, like, I mean, grape shot's in the list. Like if you fail, you can just keep building your storm count up, right? Like,
yeah, grape shot's like if you keep failing and you're like, fuck, I can't. All right, I'll just do it.
Yeah.
Grape shot, 5 damage or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
grape shot failing itself is fine because it
brings the storm count up, right?
Yeah.
And so they've given you an avenue with the way the game is designed that you can design your deck so that even fails are successes with this, right? Which I think people will learn the deck's not as risky as maybe it might seem on the surface if you've built it right.
Yeah. Yeah. The fail has a minor success, a way to step away from that disaster is what I've designed. Krakashima there is no fail. It's just how many successes I can get and hopefully one thing comes back to hand.
Right.
It's just broken buyback, essentially is what it ends up looking like.
Yes. You do have, you know, with the big scores.
Yeah.
That hurts.
That version is like really annoying, that Krakashima. It's like the Ultra Lux Casino in Fallout New Vegas where they catch you cheating or whatever and they're like, this just simply will not do. And try to turn you into a fucking buffet. That's what Krakashima does. It's not you playing your odds and it's you fucking honestly cheating. Like you break the coin.
Yeah.
There's ways around it where it's like, well, the spell will go through because I get a twin. And if I get it twice, great. But like the spell's in now the graveyard. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think? But proactive, right? Like
proactive.
There's no point to stay
just
and
go.
Wait. There's nothing. Delay will not help you here.
Yes.
There's a few things, I guess, like the free spells that can be cast for no mana. I guess off turn you get an extra smasher trigger with those, I suppose.
Sure.
But why wait when we're talking about Krark's thing?
Exactly. And especially when they're these ones that produce you treasures. Why not just get them now? Right?
Just get them now.
Just get them now.
Yeah. So you can sack them as an additional cost to some other fucking stupid spell.
Exactly.
What did you think of this whole episode? Do you think that worked better than the last
I do.
recording?
I'm glad that you were on, like, that you wanted to be like, hey, I feel like I can get this a little bit more clear. And I had a lot of fun. Sometimes I think you and I worry whenever we talk about doing a re-recording.
That's going to be boring for the other guy.
That we're like, oh, this is like, we're not going to recreate some of the moments that we had.
Yeah.
But this felt pretty good. I understood where you're coming from. I hope the listeners agree. There's a lot of concepts here that crystallized for me.
Right. So next we'll go the opposite side. We touched on it pretty hard, I think, on this episode, just to contextualize, but it's something I'm obsessing over lately because I'm being pulled into it with Cameron, which is really to not do what we've described here. And we'll be needing a different battery of commanders, ones that are just like, hey man, I can't help you too much other than, and I think it's surprising where you'll find them actually. You kind of have to look at things from a different,
I'm interested to see
different lens. It's like a remix edition, of the
song about pissing.
Yeah.
Just sorry.
It looks different. And as such, the deck will have to look different in a radical way because of just the consequence of playing like this.
Yeah.
Right? Like the consequence here is I challenge everybody's ability to remove my stuff and they meet that challenge and I get torn out. That's like most games of Commander.
Sure.
And to have something try to do both is something pretty magic and tricky, but if you're all in, like you can see me as a more risk averse player really trying to provision with this type of stuff.
Yeah.
Go back to the first one. It's like, okay, well, if I lose Ashling, I really want these mana rocks to lean back on.
Which is
and
awesome.
I really want to clear stuff out of the way because I need to attack with some of these like stupid creatures that I've made.
Yeah.
But like, I really can't have people cracking me back too bad. So I'm trying my best to this is how my mind is. The Jorian list is like, okay, well, I don't know if I can handle this style of deck where I'm pinging people left and right. In my experience, it just is a rallying cry for people to just lower my life total like crazy. And I don't want to block with these fucking guys, dude. Like I've put them out there like this. It's kind of harder to do, right? But like, I don't really know where to go. So I'll try to do it this way. Token blockers are a good way for me to move ahead with it, right? And then that other one where it's like, I don't like just making tokens and being like, I got a lot of guys. I don't love it. So I really am attracted to the idea of if they die, you guys are going to lose life anyway. I'm going to get something from this. So help me God.
Yeah, something's happening.
Right. And then the commander is like, I want more variety of tokens. So do that.
Yeah.
So it's me trying my best to keep where we need to be and then largely discarding all of that with that last deck of there's a little bit of it there, but a lot of it's just like, risk. But when you're talking about playing reactively, I think the consequence is you don't play Magic is the really high-ended, you did nothing because you got so in your own head about playing on the back foot, you just didn't do anything. And people just moved ahead without you. I've done so many games where I was holding up for something and fucking just really killed myself in a way because somebody was just like banger, another one, like one after the other. And I never knew when to do my thing and I lost.
It's a weird problem because you can feel like you've constructed a deck that won't put you in that position, but the cards that pass through your hand, you find yourself in that position.
Well,
it's bizarre.
We'll work on it. Well, I'll try to make my case and we'll see where it gets us then.
Yeah.
We'll see where that 6-pack takes us.
All right.